greatest thing I've ever seen. You're overdue. I just felt it's something that makes you look good, and that's cool, and you know, I'm all for it, but I think you need to tone this down because now it's getting intrusive to the show. But they can go in the afternoon for a US
Hold
show,
on a second.
as they did there, and they can do 180,000 buys for an afternoon show, which they've also done for All In. So
okay,
we know they can do. We know they can do big.
Can I continue this before you cut me off? We know one thing.
Yes.
We know it might have done well because it went on first.
I'm not saying it would.
Here's my thing, Dave.
But here's okay. Wait. Okay, here's the thing. Oh my God, it's the greatest thing I've ever seen. I mean, it didn't mean anything to me. It was just a match.
That's the problem, Dave. It should mean something to you.
Give him a quick squash win just to show that, like, you know, he's not a loser.
What's happening, guys? Welcome to another eclectic edition of Dave Meltzer Dumb Moment of the Week. Hashtag DMDMW. I am your host, the infallible Phil S. Marks. We are on live today. Hit like, hit subscribe, hit retweet, hit heart, rate this show 5 stars, leave a comment, say what's up in chat, become a YouTube channel member for only 99 cents. I do weekly bonus shows, Member Monday, and also patreon.com/Pro Wrestle Times. There's exclusive content and the member shows are on there too. And also you can super chat in, or you can gift a membership if you support what I do. Ladies and gentlemen, this week, Jim Cornette unloads on Dave Meltzer, completely felts him. AEW is getting canceled. Reactions, Dave and Bry are really melting down over the whole Niccolo Piccolo saga and AEW possibly being canceled once their TV deal is up, canceled from TNT, TBS, that is. And Bryan Alvarez versus TNA. He gets called out by TNA wrestlers. We didn't cover that. All of that and more. Like, we got some Conrad Thompson action in here. We got a bunch of stuff that's just sort of been straggling the last couple weeks here post WrestleMania, and that's been a little off topic from some of the other shows. So we're going to get rid of all of that from Phil Marks, bookmarks, and more. So strap in, flutes in the chat, because it is time for everybody's favorite segment turned show, and it is called Dave Meltzer's Dumb Moment of the Week.
For, you know, the young superstar, you know, babyface, you know, the former heel thing. So
Dave Meltzer, he had gotten mad at Conrad Thompson, and he had gotten upset about Hulk Hogan. Now, there's a few things that came out after I did my video/shows on that stuff, so we're going to just cover it here, put a cherry on top of that feud and that drama. And it also ties into Jim Cornette's most recent rant on Dave Meltzer, which I hope you've all checked out. Conrad, the mortgage guy, says, Dave, you made all of this up. Sorry. So if you guys remember, we go back in time, right? And Dave Meltzer was melting down on Conrad about bringing up Brody Lee Jr. and saying he's better than all of the guys in NXT because of his match from Joey Janela over WrestleMania weekend. So where we left off, Dave wrote this, like, please practice what you preach. Then do you practice what you preach, or do you turn the other cheek? Go back in time here. This is a couple weeks ago. But Conrad goes, Dave, you made all of this up. You were the one who said I didn't want to hurt anyone's feelings. I said you should be able to give a compliment without comparing that person's work to someone else's. How is that lost on you? If you're lost, you can get Conrad Thompson's own GPS system. Save 20% on GPS. But you use the link down below, Eric. And so, you know, Dave is just saying, like, oh, you couldn't hurt someone's feelings, right? He's coping about hurting feelings. And then this guy goes, which podcast will host the eventual Conrad Thompson versus Dave Meltzer debate? I'd host it, but unfortunately I would put a gun to my head in Minecraft after listening to these two.
Now, Eric.
I'd offer to fucking host it, but I'd literally have to check myself into a mental asylum after the first hour. So Conrad goes, I didn't imagine this would blow up the way it did today, Eric. Oh, come on. That's not very fair. I appreciate Dave's decades and decades of work serving fans like me with news, information, and opinions. I just wish he would chat me up and realize the weight his voice carries in the space and be more measured with his criticism. That could hurt young folks' opportunities. Dave was my invited guest at StarCast. Watch All In and what? So Dave was his invited guest at StarCast, watched All In his box with him. Oh, come on now, Conrad. And we had breakfast together in Japan before Wrestle Kingdom. I enjoy his company. How? You don't really. I enjoy his company. We have been friendly for 10 years. I do believe he comes from a good place and is never intentionally dishonest. I know Bruce and Eric. Come on now, Eric. Disagree with me on that. He has gotten some things wrong over the years, sure. We all have. But his intent, in my opinion, has always been good. His blind spot is not recognizing that his opinion gets repeated and shared as fact to a large portion of the community. It's a big responsibility. And with great power comes great responsibility. Save 10% on a Spider-Man DVD down below. Yeah, he says, I shared these thoughts privately with Dave and then publicly over the last 24 hours, but my intent is not to hurt Dave in any way. I just want him to reconsider his approach. Love to have a discussion publicly, privately, whatever. There's no debate to speak of, IMO. No, but it's literally a debate. I hate when people do this. It's not a debate. We like the same type of wrestling. We just approach our critiques differently. He's been doing it his way for 40 years. It's not likely to change. Yeah, that's crazy that they're buds like that. And Dave would do some shit like, if you're, if you're so worried about hurting people's feelings, Conrad, you treated me to such a great breakfast in Tokyo, in Kyoto, Conrad. I just want to say Bryan automatically. So Joey Janela's like, damn, this is still going on. I'm sorry, me and Brody had match of the year. So, of course, he's just getting his in, which is good. Get himself over. And then Conrad had this response as well to end it. Because Dave Meltzer goes, Conrad, watch the NFL and see how many comparisons are made with players. Read or listen to movie critics. If what you say in the context of sports or entertainment makes no sense, then it doesn't in wrestling either. Sorry, a compliment of someone and explaining how his first match was better than any for. It's just so like, ugh. It's so dumb to go see how the comparisons, watch the NFL and look at movie critics and whatnot. And it's like, dude. Not all. Okay, so Dave is like saying, watch who? Skip Bayless and like the guys who are trying to get the stir up debate and controversy and they don't even really believe the shit they're saying. It's the same criticism over there with what you're doing, saying salacious, outlandish shit. That's why those like First Take and those fucking shows exist. So that Stephen A. Smith and fucking Max Kellerman can yell at each other about, and they're both just saying insane shit, or one guy's being rational and the other's not. That's what that whole. So Dave is just like admitting he's one of those guys, and it's the same critique is levied that way. Like if you want to be responsible, like that's what Skip Bayless is made fun of and dragged for. Like he's irresponsible with the shit he says athletes went on his fucking show. And we're like, dude, you're a piece of shit. And he still stood on his stuff because it's like entertainment or whatever. But the problem with Dave is he's too fucking delusional. The way he argues with these Twitter marks and shit, he like actually thinks that these crazy ass, like these fucking morons trying to make a name for themselves working at some of these fucking websites reviewing movies and video games and shit, and they just say the most redacted things ever. And you're like, they have to be, it's like a troll, but it's also like they're trying to get their name out there and shit. And Dave thinks like that's what you should be doing instead of actually being respected as like a real journalist, which is what Dave demands. So like, I don't even think anybody would care if Dave didn't demand the respect and call and he really believes in this because he like spends time arguing with fucking weirdos on the internet and shit and going back and forth with sickos and shit. I made a video about Zelina Vega and Anna Jay calling out Sean Ross Sapp recently. Go and check it out if you haven't seen it. And I talk about journalism versus reporting. And I use the example of Don Lemon. And some people in the comments were like, oh, come on now, Phil. That's not very fair. Don Lemon melts down about shit all the time. And I guess I should have made that clear. Like I watched the video back and I'm like, yeah, I didn't really like qualify why I chose Don Lemon. And I'm like, you don't see him like, what I meant to say is like, you don't see him spurging out on Twitter with people about like, no, I'm really real. Oh, I'm going to fucking like, yeah, he's like melting down about people at his eye level, like about real shit. And he's on the news and stuff like, and he's melting down like, okay, there, maybe that wasn't even the best example, but you guys get what I'm saying. Like actual people, like Dave goes, oh, I'd be one of the top guys in the NFL. Stephen A. Smith, like, yes, he's going to respond on his big TV show to what people might be saying on Twitter about him. He did that to the MMA fans when they were clowning him, but he's only going to really get in the nitty gritty with people that are at eye level with him. Now, I will say Conrad, the mortgage guy, is at eye level with Dave. And that's why this was like a good debate that we get to see publicly here. And it just shows you how, and I hate using these terms, but like bad faith Dave is, and like how he's just got like a warped perspective on what it even, it's like, what are you trying to accomplish, Dave? Like, what's your end game here? You know? And yeah, I'm just glad that like Conrad jumped in to, because I don't know how hard people went on Brody Lee Jr. over this shit, but I really am glad that Conrad like deflected some of the heat off of Brody Lee Jr. Like I thought people were going to just start dragging that kid online, and maybe they did. But I thought people were going to just like drag him and go after him because the IWC is just, sometimes I'm just like baffled by the shit that they're like recently. There's a bunch of sickos, whoever took the pay cut in WWE needs to reveal themselves. It's like, what? Is this the purge? What are you guys, fucking mentally ill? Like, so I'm glad that, I really thought that Brody Lee Jr. was going to get dragged, and I was like, fuck, man, Dave, you're such an idiot. But people are wising up to Dave, and they're not just, they know that he's dumb for what he's saying. And thankfully Conrad came in and just sort of like subverted the energy into a different conversation. That was Conrad versus Dave Meltzer. And I know this happened a while ago, guys. But Dave like had a follow-up and stuff. And he actually coped about like, what's wrong with me saying this statement? And he said it to Garrett, not to Bryan, because Bryan, love Bryan or hate Bryan, but he would actually hold Dave's feet to the fire on this. But here was him talking to Garrett about it and him justifying like, oh, what's wrong with even saying that? And Garrett's just a little cuck. He's like, nothing, Dave. I'll give you the award of the week because you're so based, Dave. You know what I mean?
For a first match, I bet you he was better than almost anyone in NXT in their first match.
What was wrong with that statement? Well, what was the?
There was absolutely not a thing wrong with it.
Right, it's just retarded. So that's all people really wanted to point out, and then you just had a 4-day meltdown about it, making it into something bigger than it was, and now you're having a cope session with Garrett, your side piece, Garrett.
In fact, I find it completely insulting that anyone would find anything wrong with what I said. But Conrad is just like, you insulted everyone in NXT and you hurt people's feelings. Why did you need to bring up NXT? And it's like, because it's a fucking comparison that anyone would make about.
No. NXT, so that anyone would make, it's a fucking comparison. He's real mad. Oh, you mad now, Big Dave? Oh, you mad? Oh, I bet you're big mad now. It's a fucking comparison that anyone would have mad. No, they wouldn't have, Dave. Okay? NXT above AEW for the most part. for the most part, the majority. Okay, that's how everybody views it. And then from there, you go like maybe AEW, TNA, and then you talk about like the indies and shit like that. If you're a sicko, if you're a wacko like Phil S. Marks or the PWT Universe, you might go, Nuge is up there and fucking, well, Ring of Honor or like MLW's in there, right? AAA's the fucking, if you want to separate them, AAA above NXT. Like, you could really break it down, but NXT is WWE. That shit's above whatever you're talking about. So what Dave meant to say was he looked better than like most indie guys making their indie debut or whatever. But he just won't say that because that's knocking his friends and the people who lick his balls and the people whose cheeks he tongues. Okay? Because AEW is a glorified indie. And he won't say that shit because he enjoys the indie stuff more. So he goes NXT. Because why? He hates NXT. Nobody would make that comparison. Nobody looks at Sol Ruka. I guess she's called up. Nobody looks at a Zarya or a fucking JC Jane who just got called up, or look at all the people who just got called up. So like Trick Williams, Obafemi, nobody looks at them like they look at them as all above AEW and all the indies and all the other ROH and all the other shit we'd compare it to. Any other like person not in your bubble, dude, would make that comparison. NXT isn't the low of the fucking low. As far as skill, it hasn't been in like a long time, dude. Well over a decade. So, like, I don't know the old OVW or FCW days. You compare that to like peak Ring of Honor or whatever. Yeah, maybe Ring of Honor cleared that. But we're like 20 years removed from that. Not that long, but well, maybe 20 years for OVW if we're talking. But like, we're so beyond that, Dave. NXT is like a whole other level. Okay, Evolve or so, maybe even Evolve would be like, Dave, shut the fuck up. But he could just say like, his debut looked better than adults who trained way longer than him and who've had matches on the indies and shit. Oh, but then that's hurting the indies' feelings. No, because the indies is just like, there's an indie that'll pop up tomorrow, do a show, and never do a show again. The indies just encompasses a bunch of shit. He could just say in wrestling, this kid had such a phenomenal debut. And again, it's about responsibility with your audience. Now, if you just want to be a shit-talking shithead with a chat full of shitheads like PWT, then just like go ahead and say that and be like, listen, we're just fucking we're just marking out about wrestling over here, okay? This is fucking... But you want to be Uwatu the Watcher. You want to be the all-seeing eye of fucking pro wrestling. You invented it. You studied it. You did it. You were at the tippy top of the business in your mind, Dave. And you expect everybody to read and study and learn everything you've ever said. So if that's what you want to be, then you have to be responsible with what you're saying. Okay? But it doesn't connect. He's like, something happened to Dave where it's like all those steroids and shit, just all those bananas squished in his face by those girlfriends over the years just fucking mushed his brain out, dude. And then Garrett just sits there like, oh, yeah, daddy. Yeah, Dave. Yeah, daddy. For real. He's the side piece. That's why Bryan gets all mad. He's the wife at home who just argues with Dave.
In any situation that is similar, essentially the story is can you compare people in pro wrestling?
We do it in real sports all the time, and nobody gets their feelings
nobody
hurt.
ever. It's a non-issue. It is stupid. Okay. And that was essentially what this came down to. But because, they have brainwashed people. Dave is so bad. Dave is the devil.
Let's go. Let's go for the soundboard. One time for the soundboard. Oh, Dave is so bad. Dave is the devil. No, dude, Dave is a dumbass. Okay, DMDMW, buddy. You're missing one D word there, and it's a dem, right? And here's the thing. He's like, it's because they want to paint me like the devil. What do you mean, Conrad Thompson? The guy who who's they? You mean the guy who took you out to breakfast in Kyoto? In Okinawa, and then y'all flew to Tokyo and went to Wrestle Kingdom. You mean that guy who treated you? You were his guest of honor, like his personal invite to his first ever own WrestleCon.
Oh, come on now, Eric.
And that was definitely so that Dave would write about it. Starcast, right? That's so that Dave would give it good coverage. No, but like Conrad's talking about how he likes you and he treated you and all this shit, and Dave's like, no, these conspiracy theorists, these old fraudcast grifters, Brian.
For, the young superstar, babyface, the former heel thing. So
he's fucking crying.
He's stupid. Okay.
And look how he's trying to like pretend to be mad. I'm really upset by this one. You're stupid. And it's because everybody pointed out how fucking stupid he was. Do you know why he's melting down? Because Conrad actually owned him by being like, you're irresponsible with what you say.
Never gets ever. It's a non-issue. It is stupid. Okay. And that was essentially what this came down to. But because, they have brainwashed people. Dave is so bad. Dave is the devil. So I said it. And Conrad's thing, of course, is, if you say that, all these people are going to go after Brody. Well, nobody went after Brody. And if they did, that ain't my fault that you...
see, and he doesn't care. Well, if they did go after this child, it ain't my fault. Fucking Dave, the kid's mom, was agreeing with Conrad Thompson. Amanda Huber was like, I agree. One thing I'll say is this, and Brody can handle it. He knows what to expect. And I mean, yeah, for a kid in a fucking wrestling match, yeah, he could do moves that Joey Janela lifted him through and all this stuff, like, yeah, Dave, I know you're a fucking stupid, dumb fuck, right? Like, what else do we say about this guy? Like, Jesus Christ, man. I know, like, to you, you're, oh my God, and then everyone's just brainwashed who thinks I'm dumb. It's like, you're just saying really dumb shit. Holy fuck, man. It's craziness.
Created, not just him, but people like him and his podcast people.
People like him and his podcast people. Dude, how many times have we seen lolcows on the internet crash out and say dumb shit like this? People like him, Conrad. So people like Conrad. So when Dave's been saying old podcasters and fraudcasters, he means Conrad too, and not just Eric and Jim Cornette. He means actual Conrad. This whole time. If I was Conrad, I'd be greatly offended. Dave, he's treated you. That's how Dave views shit. Oh, yeah, he invited me because I'm this very special person, and I took him up on it, and we went to breakfast, and we hung out, but fuck this guy. He's a fraudcaster because he doesn't bow down and agree with every single thing I've ever said. And even though he's a nice guy, he's a simpleton, hillbilly, dumb shit because he doesn't agree with everything I've ever said. Him and people like him, they're Nazis. Is that what you're going to say next, Dave? Holy fuck, man. Dave's a bad guy. Okay? He is. He is a bad person.
Created this environment to where we're going to attack this 14-year-old kid because Dave said he was good. You're going to lead to people harassing Brody. Conrad's the one who made that thing up out of thin air.
No. And I bet if I looked up Brody Lee Jr., should I just do it? It's so much time has gone by, though. Like, maybe there's not a lot on the kid, but I personally think Conrad like subverted the energy to him. Right? He just absorbed. You guys know like the Blob when like you hit him, like Wolverine punches him in the gut and it just like absorbs all the. Maybe that's not a good comparison. Listen, he definitely deflected the impact from that. No TNA. And I'm going to just look up Brody Lee Jr. I'm just going to see. There's got to be like sicko Redax saying weird shit about him after that. Yeah, what I'm seeing is just people like the first thing that comes up. Maybe Dave was right when he said that Brody Lee Jr. was better in his match than a lot of NXT wrestlers. Like, do you know what I'm saying? And that's a hate on Kaylee Armstrong in NXT. So it's people fucking doing the opposite and hating or repeating what Dave says because he caters to the sicko-iest of the sicko who can't think for themselves. But there are people just saying nice shit about him, thankfully. Yeah. But when Dave goes, he just made that up out of thin air. Okay, then the same criticism is levied towards you. You just made up this NXT shit out of thin air and it's stupid. Just like you said, it's fucking dumb and it's stupid. That's what you just said, Dave, about what he was saying. And people like him were saying. Right? So how about that's the same criticism? What you're saying is just fucking stupid and dumb, and you made it up out of thin air. They're incomparable. So how about that? Would you still have a 4-day meltdown? Would you be yelling like this? Or you just bum hurt that you thought you had Conrad under your fucking thumb, but even he's getting tired of your shit, and you can't believe they're chipping away at your cognitive dissonance, and eventually reality is going to come crashing down, bud. And you're going to realize, like, holy fuck, all of what was my legacy? All of these fucking people turned on me. Is he going to spend his dying days? Everyone turned on me. Man.
Nobody was, if there were a bunch of people harassing him, it's still stupid to blame me because I complimented him. That's on those nutcases who did that. But there's no evidence that any of that happened. He like created this thing for whatever reason, and he's done this.
He created a thing for whatever reason. Projection, sir. Excuse me?
Or,
that's projection of the highest order. I'm going to check in with chat. Sorry, guys. We're going off.
Passive aggressive kind of thing where.
A passive aggressive. He directly commented to Dave. Dave is the fucking guy. Garrett, you are a cuck. Dave is the fucking guy who goes out there and like won't respond to Niccolo Piccolo. He'll talk around him. He won't respond directly to fucking what people are saying. He'll talk around them. He won't respond to Alfred Cunningham. He'll talk around them and call them frauds. He'll only engage with certain fucking dumb fucks. And then when it's someone like Conrad, then he throws a hissy fit. So what are you talking about passive aggressive? Man, I get why Garrett's the side piece. He just makes Dave like feel real good about himself, huh? On the weekends and shit, huh? He's dealing with Bry all week. They're up all night fighting. They're tired. They're up all night scrapping it out, like Bry was saying. He's got them up till 2:30. They're fighting. They're arguing. And then Garrett, man, he just makes Dave. He does all the things Dave loves. Buys him this cute little hat. And fucking really makes him feel good about himself, huh?
His podcast takes shots at you, and he doesn't take the shot, so he doesn't really have to take responsibility for it, but it happens on his airwaves, and so he can always kind of deny, like, it's just what it is.
Like we gotta get through this clip. It's a 2-minute clip. I can't get through. These two are fucking coping. Oh my god, cue the music.
You are coping and seething. You just can't accept what you're seeing. Yes, you're coping and seething. The truth it is scalding, and now you are molding and coping so hard. Coping and seething.
When
I promise we're gonna get through it.
I mean, again, like people were sending me the "fuck Dave Meltzer" T-shirts and everything, right?
The "fuck Dave Meltzer" shirts. How dare they? And it's just probably like a fake shirt. Fuck Dave Meltzer. Why would you care? You laugh when they say "fuck TKO" or if they had a Triple H fears Meltzer sign, you'd pop for it when they mark out for Dave. But you can't ever not like Dave. I studied the business. Okay, then lean into people hating you. Lean into it and fucking leave bait out there for the trolls. Then you shut motherfuckers like me up. A lot of people are like, Dave's just trolling. No, he's not. No, he is not. Okay? And people who know him will tell you he's not. He is not.
You know, the little deals of them. I mean, I remember when they came out, and I laughed it off. It was stupid. You know what I mean? But now, you know what? It's like, that is really, think about how bullshit that is.
He's so mad that there's a fuck Dave Meltzer shirt. Really think how stupid that is. I mean, if it said fuck Triple H, that's fine, but fuck me? How dare you fuck me? Only Garrett fucks me, Brian.
That is like such bullshit.
Oh my God.
For a first match.
Oh, he was so bumhurt about that. And so Jim Cornette chimed in on this fight, right? And he had a couple posts about it. And guys, I'm checking in with chat, okay? Get your chats in because I'm checking in like a minute. We just got to talk about just the Cornette shit before I forget. Before I forget. Okay, so Jim Cornette responds and he goes, why don't either one of you two just flat out start motherfucking each other instead of this whiny bitch fest? And then this has to be why Dave was on there like, that's so fucking stupid, right? Because why else would he just be all turned up and saying fuck? He never says the F word. You know, but Cornette
thank you,
comes
fuck
in.
you, bye, boom.
And he's like, nobody can even understand what the fuck you're arguing about. It's so good. And he's right. Why don't you guys just start motherfucking each other? Like, why are we just having this whiny back and forth? But it's because Conrad thinks they're buds, but Dave is just bumhurt. And so Cornette gives a breakdown of this situation. Not even of this situation, but he talks about Dave Meltzer and his takes on Hulk Hogan. Here, I'll check in with chat, and then we're going to play this clip, and then we're going to talk about the Hulk Hogan stuff. And again, I know we talked about it before, but we got to cover it before we get into the new stuff, because it's been sitting here for a minute. Okay, so let me see here. George Capture's been a member for 24 months. That's 2 goddamn years. Checking in from work. Have a great show. 2 years, baby. Adam Cole, baby. Thank you, dude, for 24 months of membership and support. Lucy Moody 4927 for 2 says, please clip this. Dave is so stupid. Dave's the devil. Yeah, I absolutely am going to clip that for the soundboard. Okay? No worry about that. It'll be on by next show. Scully Vibes has been a member for 24 goddamn months. I guess 2 years, dude. Acknowledge 2 full years. What up, PWT Vibes? Is. Dude, shout you out. Thank you for 2 years of support. 2 years of support. Member Monday was lit. Last Member Monday, it was really fun. It went really long, and I just popped on in the morning, and we were on for like 4 hours just talking shit. It was glorious. Yeah, man. This so far has been a magnificent episode. I will sound clip that fucking Dave is the devil line, because that is the funniest shit ever. That's the new tagline of this show.
You know, poor people don't like AEW.
So let's get into now Dave Meltzer melting down, just his cherry on top of his Hulk Hogan meltdown, which was like a 4-day meltdown. He sweetened it up for us at the end by talking about it on the radio show, and also Jim Cornette sweetened it up for us by covering this himself. And I think this came just after him telling Dave and Conrad to quit being little bitches and to motherfuck each other. So this is a 5-minute clip. Shout out to Jim Cornette Drive-Thru and Jim Cornette Experience and Brian Last. And this is from Triple HHH Paul L. Triple Hausen. And this is Jim Cornette reacting to Dave Meltzer's takes on fucking Hulk Hogan over the last couple weeks. I mean, he let it go, but after that documentary, it really triggered him. And also, I want to shout out Jim Cornette for his like episode by episode review of Hulk Hogan's doc. Like, that's what Dave could be doing. And he could do it in not a shill way. He could be historically like looking at his papers. Okay, so I dug up this from the Observer, and this is my coverage of it at the time. Here's my thoughts on it in retrospect. They covered this, and that. Interestingly enough, I wrote this article then, or someone wrote this piece, or whatever the fuck. Dave could be doing compelling, amazing radio shows about the Hulk Hogan doc and like all of that. He could easily be doing that. Instead, he's just having Twitter arguments like a fucking 15-year-old girl and melting down trying to tell people who don't know who Ricky Dozan is that Ricky Dozan is more important than Hulk Hogan. It's fucking mentally ill. Anyways, let's listen to this clip from Cornette.
All over the Hulkster, although the debate now is raging. Uncle Dave has inflamed a lot of people on the interwebs by saying, well, actually, no, Hulk wasn't the greatest of all or the most mainstream of
Jim, for sure. I mean, you're just an old fraudcaster if, except it's like Antonio Inoka
of all time, because there was Ricky Dozan and there was that blah, blah, blah. And Uncle Dave always knows how to pick his spots, and there's merits to all these arguments, right? Londos was considered more of a national sporting hero in the United States on a mainstream level than Hogan was, and drew more fans to see him and dominated the business for all those years during the Depression, etc. But it's a completely different time and measuring stick. The Rock was a bigger movie star. Austin sold more tickets in a hot period for a shorter period of time for a couple of years. Ricky Dozan was a national hero in Japan and Korea. I mean, there's all kinds of asterisks, Brian.
Santo. Don't forget El Santo, Jim. You're a fraud if you forget El Santo.
In Mexico. Really Inoki, because my God, not only did he dominate network television in Japan and that market, but also was nominated. Well, he wasn't nominated. He was elected to legitimate Japanese government positions. He was like the equivalent of a senator. So you had more people in Japan as a percentage knew who Ricky Dozan or Antonio Inoki were than even in the United States during the hot period knew who Hulk Hogan was. We can carve out things, but on a whole, everyone has to admit that for the modern era, for the country where the wrestling business was the biggest and most popular, United States, he was the guy. So there's no need to, and plus Dave tries to make these learned points.
And I think Brian Last jumps in here and he goes, well, Hulk was super over in Japan too. And that's what I was saying on when we talked about this last week. I was like, dude, he was super, like he was over with all the Ichiban shit. Are you sure, Dave? He wasn't over in Japan? Like before, I was like, when did Rocky 3 go down or whatever the fuck? Like people knew who he was, dude. It's crazy. They like drew him into anime and stuff where it was like Baba's in it, Inoki's in it, Abdullah the Butcher, like all the big names in Japan and shit. But then Hogan would be in it too. There'd be a character. What was that? Kabutsu-san or whatever the fuck. I don't know. There's a video of it, a clip of it. I will show it. I will upload it to YouTube or because I actually have it saved. Because I saw this clip and I was like, what show is this from? And it was from some like show called The Monster Kid in Japan, where they would do where I guess in one episode, this kid goes to a dream wrestler land and it's all the famous guys from Japan, but then also Hulk Hogan. And it's like, why would he be included in that? Like, he transcends, at least when it comes to wrestling. you know?
Points on Twitter with, a limited number of characters while still trying to do his, snarky gimmick where I'm smarter than you because I read and I learn. And it just makes people mad. And then there's the dipshits that don't.
Right. And I play Japanese Hulk commercials before my show sometimes. Like in my intro, when I'm just looping through videos before we start the show. We get the fucking Hulk Hogan Hitachi fan or whatever the fuck, right? Him singing Monday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, using a bunch of commercials all over the world and shit. Like he was super well known. So Dave is coping again because he's a WWE guy. He never went to AEW. If he went to AEW and did an appearance there, Dave would go, "Oh, Hulk Hogan was the greatest of all time."
Recognize that there's been anyone but Hulk. Well, that Ricky Dozer fellow was over just in Korea. It's just a mess. Have you seen any of this going back and forth, Brian, before we start this program?
Yeah, I saw a lot of it. And, I saw some people chime in. I think Matt Farmer may have chimed in early on, and he's a historian I have a lot of respect for. And again, there's merits to what Dave is saying. I think the issue isn't what Dave's saying. It's
his delivery.
It's his delivery and who he chooses to interact with. When you quote tweet someone, you're saying, I'm okay with everyone else seeing this. He quote tweets more than anyone I've ever seen. And it's always like, say something right now about this argument. Just say anything. Give me a one-line thing, and I'll give a Dave response.
Well, nobody could have been bigger than Gorgeous George.
Nope. Sorry. You're afraid to learn. It's people who are afraid to learn that come out and say,
"You need to study and learn, Brian." Oh,
learn,
my God.
Baby, learn. Meltzer Inferno.
This. You don't read. You clearly don't read. These are the rules. You're not playing by the rule. Like, it's just insanity. And again, Dave chooses to do it. It's not like it's an involuntary thing. He just has to be on Twitter. It's a choice. It's a conscious choice. So I think he's interacting with ignorant fans. And let's be honest, the vast majority, very few fans know the worldwide history of wrestling. That's not a common thing amongst wrestling fans. We are a minority.
Right. Sickos and wackos. But Dave's like, no, we're a higher educated, more learned fan. Okay, but then you're going to sell tickets to just those guys? All right. That's not... There has to be appeal to the masses. And Hulk Hogan's a pop culture guy. More like, who has more influence in pop culture, Hulk Hogan or Inoki and all that shit? You want to talk about government? That's one thing. Ask somebody to name 5 politicians. Most people probably can't even name 5, So let's get real here.
So you could educate people. You could ignore the ones who are just coming at you because Bruce Pritchard doesn't like you. But it's the way Dave conducts himself. Dave could put the comments out there and just respond to the intelligent people in a respectful way. Instead, he says snarky shit.
Because it's in bad faith and he knows he's just tricking dumb people. And he's gotten so used to, I'll say some dumb shit and then I'll convince dumb people that that's what it is. And I'll keep making millions off of wrestling.
When you agree with what he's saying because it's historically...
He might not make millions anymore, but over the years, Buddy's made tons of money.
Factual. He says it in the most condescending fashion, and then he chooses to respond to people in an even more condescending fashion, sometimes ignoring what they're saying. Like, I've even seen people respond like, Dave, that wasn't what I was saying in any way. He has some kind of glitch in his fucking head.
I ran out of room knocking you. I didn't have time to make my point.
Yeah, there's a glitch. There's some sort of glitch. Dave can't stop himself. And we're saying this as people who have been annoyed by Dave's conduct. There are people very close to Dave who think the exact same thing. So it's not like it's just...
That's what I'm saying, man. If people who fucking know the guy know he's just like... something's wrong with him, and it's not like this is a new thing either. Like Dave, it's just sort of amplified in his old age,
It's us.
There are many people annoyed with his conduct.
Like, I'm sure he had way more restraint back in the day, but now like the wheels are falling off, and you got fucking Tone like hanging on
all over the Hulkster.
thinking what the shit Dave's saying is vibing and checking out, and it's just not. So what are we going to do next? We have Throwback Dave, we have WWE Dave, we have Bryan versus TNA. We have AEW Dave. We got a bunch of stuff here. So let's start with some trying Bryan, okay? Because he sort of gets felted by Ash by Elegance here, and then also like Dave Meltzer copes about TNA as well and their ratings. He's like, it cannot be. And again, this was like a few weeks ago. I want to say we're catching up on all the stuff we've sort of skipped over the last few shows, right? So Ash by Elegance responds to Bryan Alvarez, who puts out this video, and it goes, this was the train wreck to end all train wrecks, TNA Rebellion. So this is his review of TNA Rebellion. And Ash by Elegance goes, I'm so glad it occupied your brain so much. You had a whole segment on it. It was that entertaining. Now ask if real wrestlers, quote unquote, could entertain like that, or are they, quote, too concerned about their image and not want to entertain others in a comedic way? So basically he went off on like the ODB street fight. She's inducted in the Hall of Fame, whatever match, right? And I don't know, she's quoting, it's funny too, because quote, real wrestlers, like, I don't know if that's what Bry says in the clip, but again, it's this whole, like, when these guys talk about, it's so phony and shit, it's like, well, it's pro wrestling, bro. Go watch MMA if you want to just see guys knock each other out for real and shit. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Figure it out, So Ash is just like, and I guess this is a quote, she's like, oh, are we too concerned about our image and we don't want to entertain people in a comedic way or whatever? Like Bryan, who fucking went out there and got in a chop battle with Sean Ross Sapp and threw the shortest super kick. Like, that wasn't even on Sapp, dude. Bryan just couldn't get up. You know what I mean? Like, Bryan's such a shorty. He just couldn't even get his leg up there. The worst super kick of all time. The goofiest, gooberish shit ever. A dirt sheet fight in a fucking... at an indie show. And you're going to sit there and like criticize, oh, people are concerned about it's a comedy act and a not serious wrestling and all this shit. He's just such a goofball. Wheezy Blonde says, nah, that match made my entire year in the sea of fuckery. Pop off. Okay. But yeah, everyone's just agreeing with her. They're just like, yeah, cook that fraud. And I don't think he had shit to say to her, because why would he? These guys are fucking... they're just goobers and they're passive aggressive and they just want to say shit. And then, like, that's the thing, man. If any of these wrestlers fucking quote tweeted me and was like, you're a dumbass, fuck you, I'm not going to cope and cry about it. You know what I'm saying? Or I'm not going to like fucking ignore, like Ricochet's like, oh, you're a loser. And I was like, yeah, well, fuck you. You know what I mean? And then we just... I'm not gonna be a crybaby about it. If he does some good shit, I'm gonna say he does some good shit. If he does some bad shit, I'm gonna make fun of him, and I'm gonna say he does some bad shit. It's just that simple. Like, it's not. But Dave and Bryan, they're just like, oh my god, how dare they? I won't even acknowledge this. I'm above you. And it's just like, fuck you, buddy. And I think we got more. So yeah, so the TNA ratings come out, right? So this guy at Bear Down 316, what? Says the 4-9 episode of TNA Thursday Night Impact on AMC obtained 257K viewers with a 0.04 in the key demo. Now, since then, TNA did like one of their lowest ratings. Now they're back above 200K. So this is a few weeks ago, right? But it was number one in cable on the night with teenagers 12 to 17, scoring a 0.08. The demo for teenage males was 0.16. TNA crushing in that regard, man. Also the number one spot for the night. While the viewership is way up from the previous week, the demographic is down slightly from 0.05 to 0.04. However, this is a much younger crowd that usually watches on the network, and that's great for AMC. They're looking at that. They're like, okay, sweet. We got something here. These numbers do not include TNA Plus or AMC Plus streaming. And then Dave Meltzer responds to this. Or no, he doesn't respond to this. This guy fucking screen grabs Dave's response to the ratings. And then he quote tweets himself here. So shout out at Beardown316. What? And Dave Meltzer just copes. If this was AEW, he's just like, oh, the ratings. Like, he doesn't say anything about the ratings being higher. Or he talks about them being lower this week because, Nielsen changed again or whatever. So he never fucking plays this game with AEW. He'll even use the fast national numbers, then not correct them in his tweets, and then tell you to study and learn. So Dave Meltzer writes this whole cope paragraph. Boy, are there some real issues with the numbers this past week? Well, we talked about the Nielsen issues last night, which are very serious. And today, NBCU's Mark Marshall talked to the Wall Street Journal about it as well. Well, poor people don't like AEW. And we will have an article up soon regarding TNA number, as well as Netflix not listing the Tyson Fury number this week. Even though its UK numbers alone easily get them near the top of the worldwide charts, just as they didn't list the baseball season opener number recently, even though US numbers alone get them easily into the worldwide charts. I think they've decided to hide major sports numbers. Oh my God. Oh no, what are we going to do? Oh, what are we going to do? So yeah, Dave's on the case. Dave's on the case. Okay, Inspector Dave, dude. Yeah, so he knows the numbers, but they didn't list them. But the UK numbers in the baseball, the US numbers alone easily get them into the worldwide stats. They're hiding them. So if you know them, say what they are. You know? Like, who cares? Just say what they are in the US then. Boom. And again, he's just talking about the TNA number, and it was a week he lumps it in with all this other shit, but he lumps this in there on a week where they do a really, really good number because he's got to undermine it because he's sweating it tying up with Collision here by the end of the year or come next year. And if AEW gets banished to the Shadow Realm, and get kicked off TNT TBS, then Dave is going to be extra shift work, double timing it with the fucking hatred of TNA. Watch. He's going to care about TNA so much and talk about it so much and bury it so much. Speaking of TNA, this was Dave Meltzer and Bryan Alvarez's take on Carlos Silva's reasoning for pulling TNA talent from matches against AEW talent. Now, again, if this was Tony Khan, Dave wouldn't say any of this shit. Okay?
The best guy is Tony Khan.
He would just be saying he's the best guy. But because it's Carlos Silva, he's trying to be extra critical and stern and blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, when Tone was pulling people off of indie shows, Dave did not have the same energy at all. Let's take a listen.
Carlos Silva.
I think Matt Hardy probably explained it the best. We never should have approved it because we work with WWE, and WWE and AEW are enemies. So he never should have approved it in the first place. And I think that's exactly where this all comes from. Everything else, I think, is just lip service. There's politics and boundaries, and they have a relationship, and
it's lip service. Meanwhile, all this lip service, both literal and figuratively, that Dave does to and for Tony Khan. Jeepers, man.
I think the one thing is they don't want Carlos. And again, was it Carlos's call? Was it forced on him by WWE? We don't know. He can't go and say it was, because that would just be a killer. So he has to say
why.
That would just be a killer. Why? Tone fucking was like, yeah, I pulled people off show. It wasn't a killer. But in Dave's mind, it's a fucking killer now. And then he's going to sit there and pretend he's not just a hater on TNA and shit, and he doesn't sweep for AEW because Carlos Silva doesn't phone Dave on the fucking phone in the middle of his show. It would be a killer. So now all the people who listen to your dumbass, who you don't have blocked, go, oh my God, it is a killer. Carlos Silva stinks. And then MJF goes out there, fuck this guy. And you have Will Ospreay coping, all these guys who peaked during COVID, according to themselves.
Because it would tell everyone that
we all know that
WWE's running them.
We all know that.
But you can't say it publicly.
But everyone knows that.
But you can't.
They pretty much have even said that, haven't they?
You can say it publicly. You can say it publicly, and he did say it publicly. He's like, yeah, I did what I did. Sucks, but it's business.
No.
Not that they're running it, but like, we all know there's an agreement there, and obviously WWE is going to call the shots because they're the bigger promotion.
Yeah.
I mean,
but you can't say that to your own fan base, because then your own fan base would
your own fan base knows. This is like the most not secret in all of wrestling.
AEW.
Exactly. Like, he addresses it head on. They have a picture of Carlos Silva addressing it head on. And it's the fact that they're trying to play like it's some deep, dark secret and oh my God, like it's because of the sheets like Dave and Fightful and fucking PWI and fucking Ringside News and all these people blowing this shit up into something it isn't. Motherfucker pulled some people off shows. He didn't even pull them off shows. He just reworked their matches. Cry about it. Fucking Tone does the same thing. Tone literally pulled people from shows. You guys didn't say shit about it. Well, whatever. Bry's just laying in the cut being like, who cares? So I'm kind of with him on this one. But Bry's trying, right?
Shows on our night, which is, of course, like, that's not an AEW thing, like trying to, go against you. That is WBD when they move Collision from Saturday to Thursday, because there's sports events on Saturday.
Oh, so WBD calls the shots? No, just joking. But, and this is a real take from Dave. So I guess like Base Dave for this one moment in time, like, he is accurate about that. And I've said the same thing. Like, what did you expect AEW is going to do? They were already moving shows to Thursdays. So,
or whatever reason it would be. They've been doing that for a while, and they do that several times a year.
And do you know what's fucked? I guess the dirt sheets reported that TNA actually moved Slammiversary back, so it's going to start 5 hours before Slammiversary is going to start at 3 p.m. And then what's the AEW show going head-to-head? Double or Nothing, or whichever show goes head-to-head, or Forbidden Door? I forget which one. It's going to be pushed, or that show is just going to remain at 8 p.m. So TNA will cross over with their 0-hour matches or whatever. But TNA shouldn't have done that. They just should not have done that. You just have to play it like, fuck these guys, We're not going to wrestle with them and shit, but we're not going to back down our times or anything like that. Just stand your ground. And then, like, if you eat it on the chin, then okay, you fucking, but you rebuild, you just show you're the better show.
And when they went to AMC on Thursday, they knew that they knew that in January, and the date that they were complaining about, that was known before he ever approved any of the.
What makes AEW, like Tone and Dave and fucking and their ilk, like, and some of these AEW wrestlers and shit, some of them, what drives them crazy is when you just slough them off like fucking whatever, like, okay, whatever. I'm telling you right now, they should have just sloughed it off, and it would have just greatly offended them. They would have been melting down more about TNA. Talk about TNA all day, every day, man. Because they ain't doing shit wrong. Like, anybody with half a sense knows, okay, so this is old-time pro wrestling. I dig it. What's TNA got going over here, going on over here?
Those dates, so that's ridiculous. But the other one, which is a new one, and I don't know the validity of this one, because people have been asking me this one all day. So he said that that he didn't say, he never uses AEW. He said that the other company, basically trying to say that, like, we're in a war with them. They came on our night and put their TV show on head-to-head with us on our night, and then he also said, and they've kept us from booking buildings.
And that is and then, of course, Dave won't say shit. Dave won't say shit. He won't say shit about that. The clip ends right there. And he said they kept us from booking buildings. So did you go on to talk about it, or are you just lying by omission? Because
my God, it's the greatest thing I've ever seen.
why wouldn't you include your take on that, Dave? Any inside scoops on that? Why haven't you reported on that? On them being blocked from buildings? Because that's the thing nobody's running with. Notice none of the sheets are like, oh, and Carlos said that they're being blocked from buildings. And Tone, hey, are you blocking TNA from buildings? Like, I get Niccolo Piccolo saying, hey, hold Tone's feet to the fire and shit, right? Okay, none of these people are going to ask him that shit. Are going to ask him, is the TV deal up? And maybe it isn't in a professional capacity, so he can just say no, and then you just move on in a second. And same with this question, I suppose, but I want to know the answer to this. I want to know, did you block us from that building? Did you ever felt TNA? I want to know. I want to know, did he block them from buildings? Because that's a crazy ass claim, too, from Carlos Silva. And nobody's running with that. Nobody's going, oh, how dare Tony
Carlos
do that?
Silva.
I think
Why? Because they all had to cry victim when WWE did that to AEW. And this is what I've said. If Tone took Saudi Arabia money tomorrow, all the sickos would be like, oh. Well, no, a bunch of them would jump off. Like, a bunch of them would. Like, all the fucking virtue signaler types would jump off. But most of the online Twitter noise you see from the people who are just like illegally streaming all of AEW and then just standing it every minute of every day on Twitter, they just wouldn't care. They would just put it over. They'd be like, whatever, WWE took this much and Tone is blah, 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 you know. They would just make excuses. So it is what it is, man. Man, where do we go next? Where do we go? Where do we go now? Where do we go? Where do we go now? Where do we go? I hope you guys like the singing. I don't know what we're going to pull up next. Let me just think this through here. So let's transition over. There's a lot of cope and seethe here in this one. I just don't know. Do we go back in time? Like, we have Throwback Dave. We have fucking him just saying dumbass shit. We have WWE stuff. We have cuts, roster cuts. I guess that falls under the WWE umbrella. Let's just go with Dave, like, just being a full-blown dumbass and some Throwback Dave clips. That's definitely the way to go. So we just have a funny thing here that that Meltzer said what the GOAT, like, rehashed, you know, and I think he DM'd me this one. So anything he finds from the past and personally hits me with, I go, oh, we're gonna look at this. So this is a throwback, right? And it has to do with a Tanahashi match. So Meltzer said, what's this? One of my favorite observerisms, and this is in 2019, is the fictional argument with yourself. For example, instead of just saying the Tanahashi match was awesome, you create a fictional argument that never occurred in order to segue into a negative comparison of WWE versus New Japan. This shit's hilarious. This is a quick flashback, and then it's just going to go into more Dave LOLs and cell phones and buffoonery. But here's Dave in 2019, before AEW, I think, was really a thing. I don't even know if they had their first event yet or what at this point, but he was doing the same thing he's doing with AEW versus WWE. Back then, it was Nuge versus WWE. Notice he just doesn't care about Nuge anymore, because AEW is the thing. So it's good to look at this and remind yourselves, like, Dave's always been like this for a long time.
Match and the Tanahashi match.
Tanahashi match was great for what it was.
It was awesome.
Yeah, it was just like I said last night, storytelling wise. I mean, you know, I don't even. It's like the funniest thing in the world. Okay, in the sense of, you know, you have these like mindless.
Nobody's laughing. Dave always goes, "It's the funniest thing in the world," and it's like nobody's laughing or having a chuckle.
People who get told that Japanese wrestlers only do high spots and don't know any psychology, not realizing that
Nobody with a
like,
brain actually says that. It's just geeks on Twitter.
No, I've heard wrestlers say that. I've heard star pro wrestlers say that to me, that, well, you don't like psychology and story.
Hey, look where Nuge is. Look where WWE is. Look what you perceive where AEW is and what you perceive as the best wrestling, Dave. So they're all right. It doesn't work. It doesn't work because it doesn't draw. Long term, it ain't going to draw. In Japan, it might draw. Globally, it ain't going to draw. If WWE pulls up to Japan, WWE is going to draw. It's the Hulk Hogan argument. If WWE pulls up in Cincinnati, they're going to draw. If they pull up in Tokyo, they're going to draw. If New Japan pulls up in Cincinnati, they're lucky if they sell 3,000 fucking tickets. And if, sure, they do the Tokyo Dome. Awesome. If WWE pulled up with WrestleMania, they don't draw fucking Wrestle Kingdom. So what are we talking about?
Like, you don't like psychology and storytelling. And it's like, what the fuck are you talking about? It's like you only.
He gets offended that wrestlers who actually did the thing says, "Go, Dave, you don't understand psychology." This is almost a decade ago, guys. This is the better part of a decade. I mean, shit. 2000, we're halfway through 2026. 2027. This is 2019, early in the year. So, a few years off, but well over half a decade ago, this motherfucker is melting down because people say you don't understand psychology. Dave, you've never done a match. You've never had a match, so you don't. How do you know something better than people who fucking do the thing? And you've never done it.
Like high spots. And it's like, what? Like Kenny Omega and Tanahashi, who are the best storytellers in the freaking business. And Okada, they're light years.
Kenny Omega's the best storyteller in the business in 2019.
They're light years ahead of the guys here. Compare the storytelling like Seth Rollins does. And this is no knock. I think Seth Rollins is great, but he's not in the league of Tanahashi as a storyteller. As an athlete, he's better, of course.
Well, nobody in WWE is, because they're not allowed to tell those stories. They've got agents to put together the same matches for everybody.
Okay.
And I'm not going to sit here and defend Vince McMahon 2019 WWE and shit. I ain't about to do that either, But just listen to Dave's unbridled glaze and how he says the same shit about AEW now. Meanwhile, none of this shit is worked or drawn. And the psychology clearly is on the WWE side. Is he going to say that Tanahashi's telling better stories than Punk and Drew McIntyre? They got motherfuckers popping for beads and shit. Come on now.
It's just the way it is.
The Bloodline. Oh, you talking about the Bloodline story that started not long after this rant? You talking about storytelling? Okay.
Now that
you're about that, Unk.
Having said that, and you're right, there is a handicap, and there's no doubt in my mind that there are guys in WWE who, if they were to go to New Japan, and AJ proved this,
they would be fine. Yes,
they would do very well.
That's a very different thing, though.
However, I don't think there's one of them who would be as good as a storyteller as Tanahashi, including AJ, because he wasn't.
There's few people in history that are as good as storytellers, Tanahashi and Okada.
Yeah.
So anyway, this Tanahashi.
Oh man, see, Bri was way more chill.
Match and
This is when the marriage was like going strong. They were happy. So Meltzer said what? Post this from 2019. Who sold it better, Tanahashi or Alexa Bliss? So now he's going to knock Alexa Bliss here in 2019. This is in August 1st, 2019.
He lands and he does this Terry Funk selling of his knee. It's like the greatest selling ever. When this match was over, I've decided that, like, Tanahashi, not only is he one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, which I already knew, but he is the greatest seller I've ever seen, ever. He's just crying, selling, but not like Alexa Bliss crying, selling. This is like the most realistic selling that he does for the rest of this match. And he's it looks like he just blew out his knee. Now he's still got to wrestle, and he's in there, and they just keep going.
When UFC fighters blow out their knee, do you see them crying, selling? No. So in movies and in pro wrestling, when he goes the most realistic, he actually means like the phoniest, because real selling isn't like that. Okay. Now, when Anderson Silva snapped his shin in half. Yeah, he was crying selling, right? When he fucking threw that leg kick on Weidman and snapped his leg into Oblivion Creek. And Owen Hart kicked his leg from his leg, Brett. Yes, you're crying selling. That's like a freak accident, right? But when the same shit happened to Conor McGregor, he wasn't crying selling. He fucking sat down and went, "Ooh, I'm in your wife's DMs. I fucked your wife, right? I'll fight you in the parking lot. You won't do nothing." Right? So, yes, there's different reactions. I get all that, but I don't know, dude. In a fight, you're not crying selling. Like when Dave, and I don't care in wrestling, the crying selling, like I like it. It's cheesy. It's fucking, that's pro wrestling, baby. That's the theater. That's that's what I love about it. That's what makes it different than fighting, But when Dave goes the most realistic, it's actually like the opposite of that, but he just doesn't really ever know what he's saying, even back in 2019.
Owen, Tanahashi can barely beat the 20 count to get in because his knee is shot. He comes in, he actually gets some offense in. He's getting there. Then it just turns into this awesome
2019. That's like the 90s and shit. What are we?
Some awesome match. And he's just like selling everything, but still like not giving up. And he just wouldn't give up. And finally, it's a dragon suplex. There's a crossbody off the top. And does a high fly flow halfway across the ring for the pin. This was one of the best matches of the tournament, but it was, I would say, Will Ospreay's performance against Okada in some ways was the best individual performance of the tournament, in some ways. But in other ways, when it comes to psychology and storytelling, this was the performance of the tournament by Tanahashi here. And Kevin Kelly, it's over, and he just goes, "I've been doing this since 1991, and yeah, this guy is one of the greatest of all time." And then he just goes, "The greatest thrill of my announcing career is the ability to watch Tanahashi matches, to call Tanahashi matches." It was such a perfect, like, if you said that after a normal match, you would just come off looking like the biggest pandering geek in the world.
Well, no shit. Like, why Dave just invents these scenarios and then tells other people they're inventing scenarios out of thin air. If you said that and it was just a normal match, well, that's why that's why Kevin Kelly's a fucking amazing commentator. He's one of the fucking best guys on commentary, best ring announcers, whatever you want to fucking call it, ever. So,
but when you say it,
what are you talking about?
After a match like this, after a performance like this, it just accentuates it. And it was so.
That's why he made the call, Dave. Yep. You don't got to break that down.
Oh, like the line, like I'm watching this going, like, I'm thinking in my own mind, like, this guy, he may be the greatest wrestler I've ever seen. I'm not saying he is, but he may be, because I start thinking, like, let's see, compare him to like Ric Flair. And I mean, in a lot of ways, he's better than Ric Flair, a lot of ways. Or Shawn, he's better than Shawn in he's a better seller. His psychology is better than Shawn. He's way more consistent than Shawn. Kobashi,
Yeah, so I would just say, like, in ways, yeah, just the way he says, like, better too, which, I mean, I'm not trying to be like a pussy with words and stuff, but it's like better than Flair. It's like, okay, in a lot of ways, he's better than Flair. Nobody's better than Flair, guy. Like, why don't you say, okay, his and that last criticism or note that Dave had was okay, like, he's more active than Shawn Michaels or whatever and operating at this high level. Okay, that's a good fucking. Is he better than Shawn Michaels though? You know what I'm saying? Like,
he lands and he
just the way he says shit, man. Nuge was cooking back then, but 2019 was kind of like the beginning of the end of that era. And speaking of the end of an era, Dave Meltzer was just getting like destroyed left and right, and he was coping, putting out some funnies out there. So here's a tweet that came out from Dave where he says, okay, we got to go. This is like Daveception. This happened recently. So he says there's several more people who are more important than Hulk Hogan. And then this guy goes, "You know what, Dave? That's why you were never considered a real journalist. And even longtime people in the business don't respect you because you say garbage opinions like this, whether you like him or not. If it wasn't for him, there would be no wrestling today. End of story." Dave Meltzer goes, "Funny. That's why I'm considered to be among the most knowledgeable in the world on history. Not the history of wrestling, not the history of fucking, he goes, knowledgeable in the world on history.
For, the young superstar, babyface, the former heel thing. So
from ancient aliens to the Declaration of Independence. I'm the most knowledgeable. Oh my God. He goes, because I actually know different people. I know he means wrestling, but come on, Dave. Because I actually know different people and eras and the actual history. You'll notice that every historian who has come in has talked about how big all of the top tier guys, of which Hogan is one, are. If you read history or talk to people who were alive, you'd realize the business didn't start in 1984, and the U.S. is not the world. A smart person who reads would study Ricky Dozan, Gotch, Londos, Santo, and Inoki rather than got mad. A bunch of historians bring them up. Fair enough. I mean, we covered this already, but this guy just laughs. Ha ha ha, buddy. Nobody buddy. Ooh, buddy. Nobody feels that way about you. Literally nobody. And then Dave Meltzer posts this. NW. What the fuck is this? NWHOF.org news. Dave Meltzer to receive Jim Melby Award. And so Nicolo Piccolo goes, ha ha ha, GeoCities 2006. Right? So Dave's like, look, I won this award. And so Meltzer said, what, post this? And he goes, it just killed Dave that Wade Keller and Bill Apter got this award before he did. P.S. Go here and see how far you have to scroll down to find his award. So this is the Hall of Fame, the NW Hall of Fame. And Dave Meltzer's on there in 2016, the Jim Melby Award. Wade Keller got it in 2015. And they're giving it to Dave as a consolation prize, or whenever they gave it to Dave, it was a consolation prize, because name any dirt sheets. Like, all of these people are fucking clowns. Elboo is going to get this award. Like, all these people are just click zombie clowns now. None of them actually, they all go, I'm a reporter, not a journalist, not realizing all reporters are journalists and shit. They don't qualify for any of this shit. So they just gave it to Dave as like, okay, I guess we got to give it to him. So Dave was bumhurt. So we look at 2017, right? And this is December 2017. So this guy here, Hayden Fallick, goes, Dave Meltzer, with Bill Apter getting a good percentage of votes for the Hall of Fame, would any other wrestling journalists like Mark Madden or Wade Keller ever be considered for the ballot? And then Dave goes, good question. It's kind of unfair to Wade Keller, but if I put him on the ballot, I'd have to put myself, and I could never do that. Bill Apter is a completely different animal, Brian. No offense to Wade Keller, but if I put his bitch ass on there, then I gotta be on there.
Oh my God, it's the greatest thing I've ever seen.
And then meanwhile, the award that Dave's flexing, fucking Wade Keller won it the year before him. Oh man. So this guy Bone says, because they had great, this is in 2022. I'm feeling 22. Because they had great marketing and promotion from one of the biggest wrestling voices, constantly printing positive material about them, and had one of the biggest wrestling voices cutting for blah, blah, blah. Dave Meltzer, what was Bill Apter in PWI in 1995?
Tell me, yeah.
Just fucking hating on people, man. Dave's the biggest hater. People are like, oh, Phil, you just hate on Dave so much. It's like, yeah, he's the biggest hater there is. Here's Bill Apter. What a fucking stud. 2012. When the world ended, allegedly, right? You guys remember that? Remember they made a movie about that? The Mayan calendar. And then Meltzer said, what goes, maybe Dave can nominate himself for the Outstanding American Award and try to take the crown from William Baldwin. Billy Baldwin, let's go. Oh, man, that's good shit. That's good shit, pal. There's more funny Daves. Bauer 24 Power. It's the Bauer 24 Power Hour. For two, says, has Dave ever taken a bump, trained in ring? Nah. Dude, he lies and says that he trained in Japan. He did something in Japan. That's what he said. And he's never really brought it up since. Nah, he's never done shit. You know, nobody can prove. Thank you for the support, and no, he's never done a goddamn thing in the ring. Talk about king of the ring. We're talking about he ain't done a thing in the ring. Oh, so Dave Meltzer, he just embarrasses himself here. And I quote tweeted this, or I actually had to screen grab it because Dave Meltzer has me blocked. And he goes, I look very well. Actually, Tiger Trav says, Dave, stop making yourself look stupid with this argument. The only thing you need to know is that all of the people you've brought up virtually no one has heard of, but everyone knows who Hulk Hogan is. Shouldn't be a hard concept to grasp. And then Dave Meltzer says, I look very smart to very smart people. I look very stupid to very stupid people. And that's cool with me.
Stupid idiot.
And I quote tweeted this or whatever you want to call it. And I was like, this might be lol cow quote of the year. It's the exact opposite, Dave. You're coping and molding. He's molding, coping so hard. So yeah, that was pretty funny. This guy here, Dustin the Grim, 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 Dustin the Grim. He says, for one thing, he saved your hapless ass from unemployment. Without Hogan, wrestling never would have reached the heights it did and thus paved the way for the future. And then Dave says, saved me from being an NFL, NBA, or baseball writer. I'd have been fine in any of those roles. Maybe not made quite as much money. Probably would have made more fame, though. So Patrick Mahomes? So you'd be reporting on Patrick Mahomes and Cuervo.
He had Cuervo with him the whole time, too.
You would have made more money and been more famous, or made less money. What does he say? Not made quite as much money, but would have had more fame. That's what's crazy about this, right? Like Stephen A. Smith has made tons of money, is famous as fuck, whether you like him or not. Dave Meltzer would have made less money if he was in any other sport, but he would have been more famous. This is how much he's worked. This is how much money he's taken from the boys and like real reputable people. You know, he's made more money than most of these fucking wrestlers. And he has the audacity to sit there and say the people who draw the most are the reason why people read his shit rags, are the reason, well, not anymore, but did over the years. The popularity of Hulk Hogan, WCW, WWE, the Attitude Era, and all this shit, and John Cena and stuff, giving them a reason to read his awards and his newsletter and all this bullshit. What made him all this fucking money? When he claimed to have insider access and scoops and sources when nobody else really did, before the message boards and all of these things. And he just condescends, tells wrestlers they're wrong, tries to work people into jobs. He's made so much money off wrestling, man. So much money off wrestling.
We have confirmed that Dave Meltzer fears PWT and flutes.
It's like a travesty. Like, it hurts my heart in a way, dude. It's crazy. Speaking of craziness, so Nicolo Piccolo, he just smacks Dave around a little bit here. And this has to do with AEW being canceled or whatever. Actually, before we get to all of that, here's more Meltzer said what here. And he goes, Dave has been outed so many times for using fake info from random users, college Wi-Fi, mall surveys, Discord chats, fake Excel sheets, but this one might take the cake. He's now using this Gemini AI spreadsheet as proof for his endless Hogan argument. Holy shit. Yeah, I did like and retweet. I was like, I need to like and retweet this. Holy fuck. So look at bot Meltzer here. So here's this guy at American Numbers. He goes, I ran it through Gemini, which uses Google data. Top 3 for each. Included Osaka, NYC, because they flip 10-11. And look at this shit. Look at this shit. This guy asked AI. Dude, AI will sometimes go and ask Grok something right now. It'll tell you like today's not the day that it is. Man. That's fucking delusional. And so this guy here says, I'm proof that Dave Meltzer just says whatever he's thinking in the moment. Here are his comments on Hulk Hogan's importance from Vince McMahon's documentary.
You can't overemphasize the importance of Hulk Hogan. You take Hulk Hogan out of the equation, I think Vince fails in his expansion. I'm relatively certain he fails in his expansion. You can't.
And so again, he just says that when that's his way of burying, and also his flies undone. Like, do you guys see this shit? I'm not trying to cock watch him, but like his fucking flies undone and shit. Like, I don't know, Dave. It might be time to go to a home, buddy. It might be time to fucking wrap it up and just, you know.
Oh my God, it's the greatest thing I've ever seen.
You made all this money. You can afford a nice retirement home, dude. The nurses will do you up there, champ, you know? And, oh, man. So, again, like Dave, he is kind of burying WWE there in a way. Like, oh, Vince, the expansion wouldn't have worked. But again, Dave would just argue, well, that was in America. That's not the world, you know? So that clip is whatever. You can interpret that how you want. Not trying to defend Dave here, but he just loves to flip-flop. We know that. Can't give him the benefit of the doubt because he's always flip-flopping. And again, here's him saying this shit right here. Where did the wrestling would have died without Hogan argument come from? Well, Dave, you just said it on Netflix. Or, yeah, that was on the Vince doc. On Netflix, you said yourself that the expansion wouldn't have worked. If the expansion wouldn't have worked, wrestling wouldn't be what the fuck it is, for good or for bad. WCW would have came along and then died, or everybody just would have fell into this is a carnival. It would have just regressed into nothing. What would have given it a hot period? There wouldn't have been Austin. There wouldn't have been any of this shit that gave it a hot period again. So, like, you sort of said that it would have died without Hulk Hogan.
All I kept seeing is people going like, oh, this thing would have died if there was no Hogan. And I'm thinking, like, where is this coming from? That wrestling would have died if there was no Hogan. Now, would it have been as popular in the 80s as it was, or at least WWE, without Hulk Hogan? No. He's a difference maker. You know, I mean, a major one of the biggest of all time. But would it have died? I mean,
no, like it'd be like a circus act again. Like, where would Stone Cold have popped off in ECW? Would ECW have taken over, and all of a sudden Paul Heyman would have got good at the business side of shit? Like, you know, what are we talking about?
There is like no, it wasn't dying before him. It didn't die after him. It's preposterous.
Well, it didn't die after him because he fucking elevated it, because Stone Cold luckily came along, because Hulk Hogan helped keep wrestling alive and shit. And alive, we mean like the level that it's at or bigger, right? Like, yes, pro wrestling wouldn't have just gone away. Just like roller derby's not on TV. There's still roller derby leagues and roller derby, whatever the fuck. People still roller skate. They don't do that anymore either, Dave. But there's people who still do these things. They don't just die and go away forever. You know, like literally. You know, you want to be literal about it, Dave. Okay. But like, what wrestling is a mainstream thing, something where people take wrestlers serious and stuff. Hogan had to go and fall on his face, make a bunch of shitty movies, and almost ruin it for other wrestlers to get movie roles, you know. But he went and did that, and other wrestlers did it before and whatnot, obviously, and they did it after Hogan successfully. Like, people love Roddy Piper and shit. But he had to do these things, you know. He laid the groundwork. He was responsible for the 80s, and the MTV thing was like so much bigger. Rocky was culturally significant, you know. So just these things Dave undermines, but then in the Vince doc, he's like, oh yeah, I mean, the expansion would have failed. Well, if the expansion failed, would all of the territories just be like equally blowed up, or does wrestling keep getting smaller and smaller, and a bunch of these fucking bookers and promoters keep fucking up? Like, how many Dark Side of the Rings are there about, like, these promoters, the territories start fizzling out, they don't know what to do, the Sheik keeps booking himself, this territory's fizzling out, this one fizzled out, Memphis was hot, then it kind of, I don't know, man.
There's places in the world where wrestling didn't die, where I mean, And in some ways, and this is not Hulk Hogan, but in the 90s when, because when Hogan in his peak, they weren't that big internationally. I mean, the international stuff started, 89, 90, 91 and all that. But I mean, if you actually know your history, the guy who was the big guy when, and most popular when they first went international was Bret Hart, in Europe and India and places like that. That was Bret Hart because they got TV, after the peak of Hulk Hogan in most of these places. There are places where, and Hogan's a big international name, no doubt about it. And his name probably to this, has carried more than Bret Hart's name, sure. But
so he tried to I'm Canadian, guys, and I have the utmost respect for the Hart family and the Dungeon and people who came from there. And I have relatives who grew up around people who fucking, trained with the old knuckle twisters and shit back in the day. You know what I mean? Stu Hart and the fucking in the Dungeon and stuff. And man, to be like, oh, Bret Hart was like, okay, give Bret his flowers, I guess, but he doesn't get his flowers for like help ushering in the Attitude Era, I think, as well, like the way Stone Cold does when Bret was a big part of that too. But like, how did he enter the conversation now? You know what I mean? Like, you were talking about Ricky Dozan and Inoki and shit. All of a sudden, Bret Hart in Europe. Now you're trying to break down country by country. Like, why can't you just say some nice shit about Hogan? Why can't you just do like a review of what you wrote back then and just compare it to what's said in the doc and have a real discussion with another historian? Because Dave has to be the biggest brain in the room in his mind, right? And that's a problem. Like, the smartest people try not to be the smartest person in the fucking room. And Dave is the opposite. You need to bow down, and his opinions are just what they are, and you just need to listen and accept his shit.
Oh, it wasn't like he was this worldwide thing in the 80s.
Yeah, man. I don't know. Man. He's just embarrassing himself. So I want to talk about now WWE TKO releases, the cope over the releases, and all of this stuff when it comes to Dave, just WWE in general. Then we'll end with some AEW stuff, but we're going to talk about WWE TKO and cuts, like the roster cuts, all of the copium from that. So where do we start with this? Where do we go now? Where do we go? We'll start with the NXT ESPN, his hot take on NXT ESPN, I think, and then we'll just work our way through the sludge that is Dave Meltzer's brain here as it pertains to WWE and TKO as of late. And I think we have a clip on, yes. So this is the NXT stuff. All right, guys. Let's fucking revamp and get some flutes in the chat, guys. Let's refresh. Let's recalibrate. Make sure you vote in the poll if you're watching live. I forget what the poll even is, but just vote the best guys, Tony Khan, because that's what's true. That's Dave's truth, right? So let's play a flute. Head over here. Dave Meltzer talks about NXT Premium Live events, Brian. They're officially moving to CW and ESPN. And Meltzer breaks down why this deal changes everything, ESPN Unlimited, etc., etc. This is courtesy of Ringside Feed, at Ringside Feed. So let's take a watch and a listen. And again, instead of just talking about how this is a big deal and how the ratings now, you're going to have to include ESPN Unlimited and blah, 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 blah. He's going to have cope. He's going to say, well, the people who go to watch Royal Rumble certainly won't go to watch fucking NXT, and it's on the CW, so the ratings are bad, only 400,000. And he won't talk about excluding the ESPN Plus or whatever fucking numbers. And it's about to be a whole bunch of bullshit. And this is the beginning of Dave and his cope over NXT on CW/ESPN. Let's take a listen.
On the CW. And then on Wednesday, they announced that ESPN and CW now have made a deal. And if you are a unlimited subscriber on ESPN, you will be able to get NXT, all of the television shows, as well as the PLE. So,
yeah. So the deal, this is not a deal that is a pro wrestling deal. This was actually a deal between the CW Sports and ESPN. And because
so NXT's crushing it on CW. It's a deal with CW Sports. NXT's not a part of CW Sports. This wasn't just a wrestling deal. Yeah, nobody said it was. Maybe it's good he's got to clarify to his fucking troglodyte listeners and readers that it wasn't just a wrestling deal, but it's like, yeah, NXT's a big part of all that. They've talked about NXT a bunch and how awesome it's been for CW, and they featured NXT guys on their CW shows and whatnot because they love the fucking synergy and the blah blah blah, all that corporate shit. They got mad at Nielsen over, hey, our ratings should be higher. NXT's doing way better for us than they've gone to bat for NXT. Like, that's a big part of the CW Sports thing, Dave. And again, he's trying to minimize it. Whereas WBD as a whole being sold to Paramount, Dave will maximize AEW's value. When it comes to AEW, he'll speak of it as though like it's this big bang for your buck. It's cheaper to maintain and it does ratings comparable to blah, 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 blah. But with NXT, he's got to minimize it. Oh, it's just a part of all this other shit.
NXT is part of CW Sports. It came along in the deal, but the deal was more for like college football, college basketball, NASCAR, things like that.
Right. It was more for all that, but they also are going to give NXT the PLE time and all this shit. So it was more for all that, but it's also for NXT, but like it wasn't really for NXT. Then why are the PLEs just going on CW and ESPN Unlimited or whatever as well? Why wouldn't they just be like, fuck, we don't even care about this thing? Dave's just cooked, man.
One of the things is that when it comes to the archive, so it's the CW app has never aired NXT or the NXT PLEs live. They put it up the next day. I know, because I've at times had to watch them, and it's not up the next day. I mean, it's up the next day, usually in the morning, and it's heavily edited. Like the 2-hour show ends up being like, I don't know, hour and 20 minutes or something. I mean, it's a very heavily edited version of it. Not that the main stuff is edited, but the all the commercials are out, which actually I guess in many ways is more convenient. It is more convenient, but the deal is that like all of the NXT archives are on the CW app. The NXT shows that will be on ESPN Unlimited will be up for 30 days. So, like, if you want to watch the old episodes, that's going to be exclusive to the CW app. But like ESPN will get a 30-day window of the PLEs and a 30-day window of all the television shows. So that's kind of how it's planned to be right now. So, but yeah, it's more exposure. I mean, the ESPN app, as far as like
500,000, 30% viewership, Brian.
I don't know how many people have it. The last subscription number I saw was 2 million, but that was months ago. I'm sure it's a lot more than that, but it's not a big number. It does add,
oh my God.
It does add a couple million though, as far as homes. Although, and some of the homes they won't even be watching, I bet. Like, what the fuck, man? If this is AEW, it'd be like 2 million homes and blah, blah, blah. He would just be fucking glazing it to the sack all the way down, tongue in the balls. Fuck, man. So we move along here, and Dave Meltzer just copes about WWE TKO. He lies about fucking releases and all of this stuff. So Dave Meltzer had this to say about the cuts when they happen, the WWE cuts. And he goes, there's not a chance TKO is ordering who to cut. It is possible they've got an unofficial salary cap, and Levesque, as the manager, has to keep the numbers below that. Most likely, the salary total would be a Khan decision. So TKO. So Nick Khan. So that's TKO. And as far as the key in the personnel decision, that's Levesque.
although Khan having input and others having input is likely. So TKO. Oh, so TKO is input, and then Paul's just the fall guy. He's Johnny Ace, but not a creep, and fucking, is in Gorilla and actually doing work, and people respect him and shit. Okay. So it's TKO. So it's coming from TKO, Dave? Oh, okay. It's like Vince would consult with a few people, but at the end, it was Vince's call, not evil Jim Ross or evil Johnny Ace or evil JJ Dillon. Nobody above Levesque is saying who to cut. Maybe Nick Khan. Oh, so somebody above Levesque is saying who to cut, maybe? Oh,
For,
Oh my
the young superstar, babyface, the former heel thing. So
Ari Emanuel isn't sitting there saying we have to fire Zelina and Kyrie. Yeah, but he might be going, hey, do you see that's 1.5 million on a spreadsheet? How much do you use her? Okay, so that's a number to consider. He might be looking at it like that, though, buddy. What would you know? By and large, the decision maker for good or bad here is Paul. It's like in other years where people blame the person or that person when the decision was 100% Vince. And Dave's just so stupid. We talked about this before. People blamed evil Jim Ross and evil Laurinaitis because they were shooting the messenger. They were mad at them because they had to come. Like Jim Cornette explains it. Johnny Ace shows up and he's an asshole and he's just relaying, but I can't even give him too much shit because he's just saying what the office wants. And he's going, look, you got to fucking use real ropes. And I'm like, fuck me. Big Show got hurt on the ropes or whatever, right? Like there's all these old stories. Yes, you motherfuck Johnny Ace or Jim Ross because they're the guys who bite the bullet. And that's what Triple H is. But it comes from above. So you're just saying it comes from above, but it's not from TKO. So who's above Triple H and WWE then? Like, Dave's just such a dumb fucking fuck. So we move along. And Dave Meltzer talks about the releases post WrestleMania 42.
it's after WrestleMania. They're bringing people up to the main roster. The reality is that, they were not going to use these people. So, they're going to cut them. That's how it works there. They're out there to maximize profits. But Zoe Stark was I thought, pretty damn good.
Of course you did, because she did flips, bro.
Before she had her
No, and I'm not trying to knock her, but like, come on now.
knee injury. So, and usually, the usual rule is they don't cut people when they're out injured. They wait until they are ready to return. And so that name surprised me. So Motor City Machine
Is that the rule? Because you all cried about Ridge Hall, and I guess he did say usually, but
Guns. I never thought those guys would thrive in that environment. It's like those kind of guys, they're better for AEW. I'm not saying that Tony, again, Tony just signed the Rascals. How many guys do you need? I mean, if he were to get a television deal for Ring of Honor, and again, he hasn't gotten the right offer.
this is what it is. Nobody's booking good tag wrestling, and so the Machine Guns are just kind of fucked. And you have the Bucks like competing in the tag division, but then they're also just in 10-man whatever the fucks all the time. And it's just cringy, goofy garbage. Then on the WWE side, they just have no plans for tag wrestling at all. And it's like, oh, the Street Profits are back. And now they're going to fight for the titles to what? And then they're going to win them and then go on a lengthy reign, and people aren't going to care because you're not going to invest. Hopefully they invest some in the story with that. But that's what it is for the Machine Gun. So he's like, they wouldn't thrive there. So would they thrive in AEW? I mean, Tony wouldn't. Look, he already got the Rascals. At least he's being somewhat rational. But it's like, okay, where do they go then? Like everybody thought they were going to stay on and just retire in WWE and be coaches and shit after. And that's what all the sheets were saying. Looks like that's wrong.
For that. If he used to get that, man, those would be two of the first guys I would pick because they're a great tag team.
Santos Escobar.
They spent all that money so he wouldn't leave to cut him. Apollo Crews is talented as hell.
Yeah.
I mean, I just watched him in AAA.
They spent all that money. No proof that they spent all that money.
And it's like, he hasn't lost anything. He's great. Black is the most intriguing one to me because he was really over in AEW and he was really good in AEW. He tried to get out. I don't think he really wanted to do jobs. I mean, I'm sure he'll.
I don't think it's always like he didn't want to do jobs, but to who? It's not like he's sitting there going, I won't lose to Cody Rhodes and I won't lose to fucking. It's like, you're not going to have Daniel Garcia tap me out, buddy. Okay? Wheeler Yuta's not beating me, buddy. I'm not losing to fucking Hologram or whatever, you know? Like, let's build this shit up. He gets the trios titles. Okay, let's do the House of Black rules or whatever. Trying to get it over, trying to establish the division and those titles. Tone's just like, nope, it's got to go on a fucking tag team and a random guy, and then forget about it. And then we'll just bring up the ROH 6-man titles. You know, he was trying to get, it's not like, oh, he's refusing to do jobs like Hulk Hogan. I got to get it back, brother. It's just like, you have to give him something that's for real, you know, like a real guy, like Damian Priest, a former world heavyweight champion. Otherwise, what is Black doing it for? What is he doing this shit for? You know?
Point to the 2 that he did in 3 years.
And look at where WWE had him positioned, like right there looming at the title, then let him go.
You know what I mean? But
and that one shocks me as well. And again, there's an allegedly that he was like complaining about creative in WWE or something. So maybe he's just vocal about what he likes and doesn't like. Who fucking knows? But, and maybe that's not true at all. But just labeling him as he doesn't want to do jobs just in general, or like he doesn't agree with Tone's shitty mark ass booking.
Probably, you know, like, was it a positive? It depends on how you're looking at it. If you're a fan, I think he's a positive. If you're back there working and everything like that, I heard my share of negatives for sure. And so I don't, you know, he's talented as hell.
Yeah, I don't know where Black and Zelina should go, but again, Dave, he puts over Black quite a bit, and he says the idea of Aleister Black and AEW was not fondly thought out by the people I spoke with there at AEW. Now, I did not speak to Tony Khan, so that means he did specifically speak to Tone.
Tony Khan.
He never names names, so if he names a name, that means it's Tone. Like if he says, "Oh, I didn't talk to Tone," it was Tone. He phones you. Andrade was mixed. I know people there that were not high on Andrade at all, and others who were, but Black, from what I gathered, pretty negative. There were even people who publicly said that they were negative on Black. And it's like, name them. Name who said that. And people were like, MJF. Oh, yeah, the notoriously serious MJF. The notoriously serious guy, MJF, who's not kayfabing everyone on fucking Twitter all the time, said something about, oh, really? Okay. And then someone said Anthony Bowens, and it's like, no offense. And hey, this, you know that I'm in good faith, Bryan, as Dave Meltzer would say when I say this, because nobody puts Anthony Bowens over more than me. Nobody. Look up the transcripts. I put that motherfucker over more than anybody, and I'm like, how does AEW fuck this guy up? He needs to go to WWE. I'm not saying he'd be a big star, but he, like him and the Acclaimed would have fit in on NXT. In the last era, they would have fit right in. They would have been the top fucking tag team. So in the previous era, this new rebuild, I don't know about now, but Bowens, I'm like, dude, he's on every red carpet. Like, why don't they do more with this guy? He's got a good look. He's the better worker. He can cut a promo. We just need to know more about him. We need to, like, you know, he needs a storyline. He needs something real. He had to wrap up his storyline with Caster on the fucking indies. And people are like, Bowens said that something about Black. Find the tweet. And if he did, here's the problem. Did Black not want to lose to Bowens? He shouldn't be losing to fucking Bowens. Okay?
Would you please shut the hell up?
So if it was Bowens, shout out Bowens. I love Bowens. But Black should not be losing to fucking Bowens. And if that's what he's butthurt about, I'm sorry. You know what I mean? Sorry, Bowens, but he shouldn't have fucking lost to you, and that's on Tone, because Tone ain't built you up to where you should be beating Aleister Black. For fuck's sakes, like. So yeah, is he upset by it? Maybe? Okay, then somebody, but bring me someone real who's like, no, he fucking, this is what it is. You know? He's vocal about creative shit. And that rubs egotistical people the wrong way when they don't want to, and Tone is that way. That's what Niccolo Piccolo seemingly exposed or claims is true. Who knows if it's real or not. Time will tell. But I'm willing to believe that. And Tone has admitted he's shut off to everyone creatively. So if you're a guy like Black, who's got a lot of ideas, you don't come up with a character like this. He's been developing this character since Tommy End on the fucking Indies, making a name for himself. And he develops this character, NXT champ. Triple H is like, dude, if I have control of this place, you'll be fucking world champion. He comes to AEW. He's working with Rhodes. He's really fucking over. Rhodes has to leave, and then Black gets buried and told he doesn't want to lose. Or is he just vocal about his character? Like The Undertaker. Would The Undertaker just fucking lose to all you marks? Or would he be vocal about, like, no, we have to do this to protect this and da-da-da-da? I'm not saying Black's The Undertaker, but he's got one of those gimmicks where you got to work around his shit, you know? It's easy for Darby Allin to just go, well, I'll just I'll just fall down the stairs, man. I'll just fall backwards onto the thing, through the thing. You know, like whatever thing, insert it's like Mad Libs. I'll fall through name an object and then into the name an object, right? So here's Dave talking more about people in AEW being negative towards
From what
Black
I have heard, and you may have heard differently, that the idea of Aleister Black and AEW was not fondly thought of by the people I spoke with there. Now, I did not speak to Tony Khan. You know, I mean, Andrade was mixed, you know, when, you know, I know people there that were not high on Andrade at all, and others who, you know, who were. But Black, from what I gathered, pretty negative. There were even people who publicly said that, you know, that they were negative on Black. Did you see that Zelina
name them?
Vega thing? She got mad
but he won't, because he knows it's like MJF. When I fucking saw people call MJF said it, oh, you mean the guy who's like, CM Punk's a fucking pussy and I'll punch him in the face if I see him. He'd never do that. Never in a million fucking years would he do that. It's called working. He's just in gimmick all the time. That's why MJF gets away with just saying whatever he wants. And to be honest, Bowens and Caster are in the same category. And now I know Bowens wasn't the one just saying whatever he wanted. Caster more was doing that. But like Bowens, come on, was he mad because Aleister didn't want to lose to him? We can all agree he shouldn't be losing to fucking Bowens. Anyways, your
buddy Sean Ross Sapp. She starts, how dare you, you know, like release this? And it's like, you know, like, how dare you release this before I?
No, she didn't say how dare you. She just was like, fuck you, dude. It would be nice if you give me the courtesy. And again, why does she have this sentiment? Because Sapp positions himself as a guy who cares about the wrestlers, and I care so much, and the wrestlers, and you know, I care so much about people, and I fucking all these gay ops he's been caught up in. We've all seen it, right? Like over the years, he's been more tame now, but just these fucking, the way he positions himself. It's the same thing with Dave. And that's what Conrad Thompson pointed out. Dave wants to position himself as the holy Bible of pro wrestling. Then you need to be responsible with what you're saying as a journalist. Right? So that's why Zelina's like, what the fuck, dude? I thought you cared. But Sean goes, no, if I didn't do it, someone else was going to release it 2 minutes later. That's what he cares about. So I'm glad people are just waking up to this shit. It's not even that it's a bad thing. Let's just all be honest, right? I want shits and gigs, right? PWT, we want shits, we want gigs. That's what it is. I don't know about you guys, but I want to fucking watch wrestling. I want to bury what's shit. I want to put over what's good. I want to mark out about dumb shit. I want to try and put some indies on, and I want to fucking shits, and I want gigs. That's what I want. So what do you want? What's your objective? Is it, oh, we got to care about all the wrestlers and fucking blah and virtue signal on behalf of wrestlers, but I'll just stooge their fucking news. That's why Zelina Vega's like, what the fuck? It would have been nice if you gave me a little, you know what I mean? Yeah, if it came from one of these other guys, they're not fucking, Mike Johnson isn't out there like, I just care about the wrestlers. He's just doing his job. You know what I mean? So you got to position yourself as that guy. Anyways, I've harped on this enough over the last couple weeks, but it's because the dirt sheets have just been getting it from every angle.
My video.
What?
I mean, it was like, and of course, you know, because, you know, she's on TV and all that. There's all these people, Sean Ross Sapp, you terrible, you're this and that. And it's like,
no, she never said you. No, she never said he's terrible. She never said you're this and that, Dave. Now you're trying to bury Sapp. Now you're trying to bury Zelina and shit. Now you're just fucking. She never said that. She just was like, dude, fuck you. Boom. That's it.
He got that info from WWE as they were releasing people. You know, this happens all the time. And it's like, sometimes I think that the, you know, the ignorance of people is unbelievable.
So Zelina's ignorant
when it comes to,
or just the Twitter weirdos you interact with all day.
News like you in no form, in no. I always say this. If this is, I don't care if you're in wrestling, I don't care if you're talking about wrestling, if you're having takes or whatever, and you have some thoughts about wrestling or anything related to wrestling, please insert, because this would have solved so many things this week that I had to go through.
What the fuck are you talking about that you had to go through? He makes it about himself? Buddy, you didn't get released from the Worldwide Wrestling Federation. The fuck you talking about? What the fuck is this guy talking? All the things I had to go through with people on Twitter that you could fucking just mute and ignore? You just put your phone down, Unk. Get some rest. What the fuck, man?
And that other people had to go through.
That other people had to go through it. Fucking Twitter. Holy shit.
Please insert NFL, NBA, baseball.
Okay, but wrestling's not just NFL, NBA, baseball, okay? And so when Kairi Sane's in the middle of a storyline and then you just go, she's released, it is a different thing than fucking, oh, this actress is in the middle of a storyline and they just released her. Whatever the fuck. Like, it's also a TV show weekly. Okay? So all you're doing, the fans react how the fans are going to react. They're going to be upset. No fans were mad that people leaked this out. Fans were mad. So he's calling Zelina. Fans were mad that fucking these people got released, if anything. He's saying that Zelina's ignorant because she expected some courtesy from a fucking guy who preaches courtesy and respect, and you need to respect me, and because that's the type of character Sap is. He gets very upset if you don't give him his due and shit. So that's what she's saying. Give me the common courtesy then. If that, I thought that was your character. That's what she's reacting to. And Dave's like, the people are so ignorant. The stuff I've had to go through. What did you have to go through? Stealing Sean Sapp's story and fucking posting it and trying to get yourself in the mix, Dave? Log off, dude. You're 75. Log off. Delete the app from your phone, man.
Movies, television, even food at times, whatever. Anything to do with sports, anything to do with entertainment. And if your statement that you are going to say, when you look at that in that context, looks stupid, it's because it is stupid. Okay?
Okay, so when we all go, Dave, in context, you are sound really fucking stupid right now. Oh, how dare you call me stupid? Insert anything. In context, when it's stupid, it's because it is stupid. Okay, we all in context think you're fucking dumb. So you're dumb. All right. He said it.
Like in any of those forms, if a TV show dropped a character and an entertainment reporter was told about it, does he have to wait until the character goes on TikTok before he can report it?
TikTok, Dave, then just undermining her status. And no, Dave, on TV shows, they make a public statement, and it's not wait till they go on TikTok. No, they make a public formal statement. Typically the actor or actress's PR, like it'll be some fucking TMZ. Oh, we got word they've been fired from their show or whatever. And then there's a public fucking statement that confirms it or not. That's all it is. Okay.
It's just the stupid. I don't say it's the stupidest thing because it isn't even the stupidest thing I heard this week. But Jesus Christ, what is the level of ignorance here?
So now you're calling Zelina Vega ignorant and stupid, and I hope Aleister Black fucking masses your fucking head off in Minecraft in 2K26 for saying dumbass shit like that. And so here's Dave deliberating whether or not AEW should sign Kairi Sane and or Zoe Stark.
The one thing with AEW is they're really trying to up the women's division, with better wrestling and things like that. And Kairi and Zoe they're like, they're definitely worth tryouts.
They're worth tryouts in AEW. Whoa!
Poor people don't like AEW.
Kairi Sane is worth a tryout in the best guys, Tony Khan. Whoa. Guys, I think this is what they call full retard. I don't know what you call it, but
I mean, they gave Isla Dawn a tryout, and I don't know what her status is. I don't know if she's day-to-day or what. But, I would certainly, when it comes to them, I would put them. Kaylee Ray's good too. I don't know that Kaylee Ray
that he's calling her Kaylee Ray instead of Alba Fire
is super marketable, but as a wrestler, she's really good. And AEW still, kind of wrestling heavy on Focus. But Zoe's like such a good athlete, and I
still kind of wrestling heavy on Focus. Oh my God! Like, how does he just flip flop around with what he says? I mean, the wrestling focused, AEW's wrestling focused. Oh, still kind of for the most part. I mean, it's wrestling heavy focus. What are you deliberating in your head? He's mental, dude.
Think that like she's got a dimension that not that many of the women in AEW have. And so I mean there's a chance for AEW to strengthen its women's division. Certainly a chance.
Why would it strengthen it? See, this is the problem too. He just says this shit like it's not strengthened unless you book it well. So that's on tone to strengthen it. It's not just another body who can do moves and get put in a tag with Harley Cameron and Mina Shirakawa. Because I just have them signed because
for TNA to do so, my God, like Kairi Sane and Zoe Stark would be like two of the best women that they would have.
And then he just buries TNA's roster, the knockouts. Here's what it boils down to. Kairi Sane might be back for Backlash because it was a fucking visa issue, like we allegedly talked about on PWT, not a dirt sheet. And fucking Zoe Stark, if she wants to just make money and lay in the cut and have free time and just have like a match here and there and do some jobs, maybe get like she becomes like a Queen Aminata type character where she fucking fights for the #1 contender but never really wins it, go to AEW for sure. If you want to like be Knockouts champion and have some bangers and like be positioned well on pay-per-views and be taken seriously and given time and actually flesh out your wrestling career, Zoe Stark, go to TNA. You'll become a knockout champion at some point for sure. Kairi Sane, I just don't. She's either going to go to Japan or she can come back to WWE. It's the same thing as last time when she left the company for a bit, but they were in conversations with her, and then she eventually came back. It was just she went back to Japan for a bit, went back to WWE. I just don't see her doing anything else but those things. But Dave thinks she should do a tryout. Wow, that's really going to convince them. You stupid idiot. Yeah, that'll really convince them. Go try out for the money mark when you're Kairi Sane. Yeah. Like, this guy's cooked, man. And so he talks about Kairi a little bit more. Well, Bryan Alvarez does with Dave Meltzer as well. And they talk about Kairi Sane here.
Gets in the ring, and she goes after EO, kicks her head off. And then the fans start chanting, "We want Kairi."
Yeah.
And they tried to turn down the audio, and then they got the hell out of there.
Yeah. So the Kairi thing, the reason she was cut was I think that she had kind of indicated that she wanted to move back.
Where did she indicate that? Now, Dave is just making shit up. If it's the visa issue, and they let her go because her visa shit, they don't know. And then she just comes, and now they're talking about even Bryan's got reports out there trying Bryan. He's like, oh, she'll be back before Backlash. Over 50% of the people think she'll be back. Or whatever. There's a 50% chance she'll be back before Backlash or at Backlash. So Dave's attributing a reason to why she was cut. She said she wanted to go back. No, that's Kenny Omega, Dave. Okay, you're crossing wires and conversations on the phone here.
So back to Japan.
Yeah.
Well, you know what, Dave? If that's the case, that's fine. But like, how about you finish off this storyline for her, and then she can move back?
No kidding.
There's literally a show in less than 2 weeks, and I'll tell you something. Let me tell you one thing. They have a poster that they made for the show, and it's like Io Sky and Asuka, and they're facing off, and it's like this. It's a really cool looking poster. And like the second I saw it, I just thought, I don't care what you got to pay Kyrie, but like she's got to show up and screw Asuka, and then she can move back to Japan. Like you got to do it for this show. I mean, come on, it's ridiculous.
I agree that we're in the middle of the program.
And they're going to spin it like, oh, they just jumble fucked Kyrie in her contract. And she came back because Bryan Alvarez said they should come back. They're listening.
And
remember when Bryan, one of my favorite all-time DMDMW moments isn't even Dave. It's when Bryan quoted what John Cena said and then tried to make it as though Cena was agreeing with what Bryan said or whatever, but really he was owning Bryan Alvarez, and Bryan's all like, see, oh, he said this. That's one of my all-time shorty pie, cutie pie Bry moments.
You know, the reality is like, this is not a money issue. You know what I mean?
Bryan.
It's like this company makes, whatever it is. I mean, like,
he doesn't even know the number. I study and learn the business. He doesn't even know.
The revenue is between UFC and them and throwing everything else in, the revenue's in the billions of dollars. So it's, you know what I mean? It's like to keep a cohesive storyline, and it's just not that expensive to do. I mean, they probably, I don't want to say squander, because I'm sure that the squandering is not the right word, but they
fumble. So fumble, but you don't want to say fumble because that's what people say about Tone.
Probably spend, way more on, things that are inconsequential in many ways.
I don't know, man. I'm leaning on this. If it's a visa issue, if she shows up and then it comes out as a visa issue, I'm just gonna laugh. I'm gonna laugh so hard, right?
Compared to that, but yeah,
because Husey be smoking these dirt sheets, man. We move along here, and Dave Meltzer again. He talks about WWE and Nick Khan, I guess, so the TKO side of things, and them dismissing the online chatter that we hear from folks like about Kyrie and whatnot. Or we'll circle back to that, but let's talk about these signees. So Dave says, according to reports, WWE were politically forced into signing RFK Jr.'s niece, Zoe Hines. Now, here's the problem I have with this. RFK, please sign my niece, Triple H. It's all about the game, and now you play it. Triple H, sign my niece. Right? I'm all good. Like, RFK Jr., whatever the fuck, okay? He wants people to be healthy. I'm all for that. Right? Whatever the fuck he's talking about. I don't care that Zoe Hines is related to him or not. Is she good? Now, she has like a baseball background. We covered it on the show. She's like an athlete, a real athlete. And she loves WWE. And I mean, beautiful young lady. She's got a good look, I guess, right? I don't know. I mean, it's generic, but maybe she figures out a character. Who knows? The problem with Dave doing this is that now this girl is this young lady, this young woman is never going to make it on her own merit. Like, let's say she fucking is the biggest wrestler in the world. It's going to be, well, Triple H is friends with RFK Jr. It's never going to be like, oh, she's actually good. And that's what Dave's already doing to this young lady during her tryout. They were forced to let her try out. They try out 1 million people, and she has an athletic background. If you have an athletic or an acting or social media background, which is acting, all these phony fucks on social media, all these phony fucking influencers. If you have a background in any of those things, they're interested in you. Pro wrestling, athletics, acting, influencing. They are interested in you, okay? So now it's always going to just be dismissed. She could become the fucking next Trish Stratus, and everybody will go, oh, it's because of fucking RFK Jr. and Triple H. You know, politically forced. How? Well, if you don't take her, you're not allowed to vote Republican this election. Like, what politically forced? We're going to tax the shit out of the WWE, pal, if you don't fucking, if you don't give my niece a tryout. Like, come on, man. Like, Dave's really got to stop. So Dave and Bryan believe that there's more Wrestling Observer, or pardon me, Dave and Bryan on the Wrestling Observer. I'm losing my mind now, like Dave. They believe that there's more WWE departures on the way, and I am going to circle back to that Nick Khan stuff, but just more when we get into the weeds of TKO stuff. So, yeah, here's Tryon Bryan and Dave Meltzer talking about more cuts are on the way.
So I bring that up because the day on Friday, somebody had also told me about Tonga Loa and Jeff Cobb, and there were other names that this person mentioned that are apparently still there. So suffice to say, I think that there's more names that are yet to be announced. But certainly watching SmackDown, there's a lot of people I'm a little concerned about.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they grouped Tama Tonga in with, JC Mateo and Tonga Loa when they talked about how Jacob Fatu had taken all of them out.
Yes.
Except for Talatonga.
Yes.
So, I mean, I don't know, but
I mean, people say, well, they were building up something, him and Nakamura. They were building up something. They were building something with Kyrie. That means nothing. If they're going to get rid of you, they're going to get rid of you.
Okay, so here's the thing.
Bry's right. Points for Bry.
We're building up something with Tama Tonga and Solo Sikoa and Shinsuke Nakamura.
Yes.
They haven't touched it lately.
No.
So, I mean, they were. That's true. But I mean, again, one of the things about this one is
I think they're going to revisit it a little bit down the line, and Shinsuke was kind of there. And I'm not trying to sweep for any bad storytelling, but I don't think the Shinsuke thing's off the table because it's not like, they had some fights with MFTs and whatnot. They had the traditional Survivor Series match, and Shinsuke was in the mix there. But I do think we see Evil possibly get that NXT title, or maybe he fucking just loses and doesn't get it. And then he just gets called up right away. And I would love to see a group of Evil, Shinsuke, and Takahashi. And I'm not saying that they can't stand on their own, but I just picture those three because we got kind of like Dark Side Shinsuke recently as well. And then you look at Evil, and then Takahashi's a dude who's kind of got that drip and that swag like regular Shinsuke does, when Shinsuke's like strutting to the ring and shit and like finger wagging and stuff. Takahashi's kind of got like aura like that, he's got the red hair, he wears the colorful shit, and he wears like the leather jackets and shit, and he's like a cool dude, he's swaggy. So I just could see those three being a fucking group, but then again, like, what do you do with them? Are they just in the tag division and then maybe one of them gets a shot at a world title? But I could see with 3 MFTs left, because they kept Tala, they kept Solo, they kept Tama. I could see that being something that happens, a feud that happens down the line. And also you have Jacob and the Usos could take on those 3. Or like Roman, Jacob, and whoever, Jay, or just whoever. And it's easier to book because like you don't have other 5-guy factions and shit. And I think Tama's still going to get a push. Like he'll get a match against, I don't know who, but like I've said this before, right? And Thomas said this in interviews that they tried to bring him in to fight Roman like years before, earlier on in the whole Bloodline story. And before that, there were rumors of Tama Tonga going to WWE, and he's in tremendous shape. He was able to get himself over a little bit with the yeah stuff, and I just think they look at Tala, Tama, and fucking Solo as like, hey, we've pushed or are pushing these guys, whereas like Tonga Loa, he's just a backup guy. JC Mateo, I don't know, man. JC Mateo seemed kind of like he's in his 40s. He seemed like he's in his fuck it phase. Like he can do the moves and shit, but he just kind of is like, whatever, and he could shoot. I've said this before. He could shoot, actually wrestle fuck and beat the fuck out of everybody in the locker room. We know that. But in ring, he just looks kind of like a little slow, a little washed. His belly's getting a little out there. And I ain't hating on that. I ain't hating on a belly. I'm just saying, like, just compare him to like even a few years ago. Well, that's because how he's booked in WWE. I don't know. You look at how he was booked, and he wrestled a bunch. And not only did he wrestle a bunch, like on TV. So We glaze when AEW only has people wrestle on TV. But then when WWE does that, oh, it's shitty and it's not really booked that well and they don't wrestle good. Oh, so like what people say about AEW. Anyways, though, that aside, JC Mateo just looked, even like a few years before, way sharper. And I don't know if because he had to stay at that level, like he just thought he could phone in the WWE style. But there's countless stories from wrestlers of them making it to Maven here. I'm Maven here. And between the years of 2003 and 2006, I had the greatest job in the world, being a WWE superstar, right? So Maven talks about regretting, like, he didn't take it as serious as he could have. You know, he'd like go work out. He'd leave the building to go work out. And he's like, that was just a dumb thing I did that buried me more than it should have. And I understand why. Perhaps Jeff Cobb pulled up in WWE and was like, I can go half speed and shit. Because I just wasn't right with him. I wasn't feeling him, to be honest, the whole time. I think he should have had a solo run or been a part of the Vision. I think he should have been a part of the Vision still to this day. I think it would have paid off more. Even though I understand why they stuck him with those guys. They were all in New Japan together. I digress.
That, like, I mean, there's so many people talking about how this, like, again, it's one of these, you know, they're trying to blame, you know, those evil TKO, whatever, right? It's like this happens every single year after WrestleMania. Every single year, there's people who are cut. Every single year, there are people who are involved in storylines that are cut. Now, granted, the New Day thing, which was a contract restructuring story, it's not unheard of. And I could tell, you know, I mean, there's, you know, obviously the Bret Hart one's the famous one, but there's many others that where people have been under contract and they have basically been told that, yeah, we think we're paying you too much.
That's what happens in the world in every fucking place you've worked ever, or anyone's ever worked ever. Wherever there's employment, there's renegotiations and agreeing to fucking contracts and what you're going to get paid and shit.
You can either sign at a lower rate, or we can cut you, even though you've signed a contract. So what happened to the New Day? Well, it's not something that frequently happens. What happened to all these other guys? This happens every year, sometimes twice a year. That's frequent. Okay. What happens to the New Day was infrequent, but not unprecedented at all. And it's people who are going like, this has never happened. They've never fired somebody in the middle of storylines. These horrible people, they won't even let our storylines complete. And it's like, this happens every freaking year. It happened before, you know, I mean, again, it happened under Vince McMahon. And who taught Triple H for pro wrestling from a business standpoint? Who was his number one mentor?
Like, I don't know, Dave. Give us the history lesson. Oh, man. So Dave talks about Xavier Woods and says that they're trying to keep him signed to a Tyler Breeze deal. So again, I floated this out there like it'd be cool if they did that. And then fucking Dave is reporting on it like it's news. Listening to PWT, confirmed.
This just in, we have confirmed that Dave Meltzer fears PWT and flutes.
So he says, well, it's like, except, WWE is trying to retain Woods with, actually it was like, referred to repeatedly, the Tyler, the Tyler Breeze, whatchamacallit, the Tyler Breeze deal, Brian, which is basically he gets paid money to do stuff for the video game. I don't know if he will accept that offer. I don't know what's going on in his head, but he might. It's not a foregone conclusion that both of the New Day are going to AEW. It's likely going to happen. It's likely going to happen, I would say. But there are things being done where WWE is trying to retain him for other things. Who knows? Why would Dave know that? I think people are working him. I think people are hearing PWT and then they're going to Dave and just like saying shit in Discords and stuff, and then he believes it. The quartering is trending again. Jesus, man, that fucking guy. So Dave Meltzer talks about TKO, and he's like, what was the point of the cuts? Because he sees all the money that TKO raked in and WWE raked in this year. We were talking about it on PWT Live Show every Wednesday and Saturday night. Let's take a listen to Dave.
Last year, because they had basically just taken over the company and they were trying to be good guys and all that, right? So they didn't.
They're trying to be good guys and all that, right? What does that mean? They're trying to be good guys. They just bought a company. Like, I don't get it. They were trying to be good guys. What do you mean? They're trying to like babyface everybody and be like, we're going to take the business to new heights. I don't get what that even means. Dave just like stuffs these little things.
A lot of cuts last year. They kind of held back. So it's kind of like a catch up.
It's a catch up. Ketchup and mustard, Bryan. So it's like a catch up from last year, because last year they were just trying to be good guys. So they didn't want to cut anybody. And they didn't want to, but they didn't, and they signed a bunch of guys who now just didn't get cut, like Rusev and shit. So this is a catch up. They're just catching up from last year. The fuck are you talking about, man?
The actual thing, as far as developmental, they're adding new people.
It's just different every year. Typically there's cuts. This last year it was a bunch of WWE staff. If you guys remember, it was a bunch of the back. That might have been the year before. I might be incorrect, but I'm pretty sure last year it was mostly like a bunch of staff and shit, producers, fucking whatever, writers, backstage, whatever the fucks, right? It was mostly like that. And then this year, and there was still some fucking names last year. And then this year, it's just mostly wrestlers. And then they hired on a couple new writers and shit, or producers or whatever the fuck. They hired some Emmy guy on so they can try and win an Emmy. So again, Dave, he's a nutty bitch.
Developmental, the people who they figured aren't going to make it, those were the ones cut. So, the main roster cuts, essentially it was two things. Number one, all the people who were brought up from NXT that got spots, essentially they wanted to, remove a similar amount of people, and they went to creative. It was creative that made the call as to who. They said, like, who.
It was creative that made the call entirely, even though it's a money-saving measure. So in Dave's mind, he's making up a scenario. So they went to them and said, like, who should we get rid of? We want to bring up like 4, 5, 6 guys. What the fuck are you talking about? But then in another thing, he's talking about a salary cap. Maybe there's a salary cap where Nick Khan had influence. He's just making it up as he goes along. Or else somebody's just telling him different shit and he's just saying this shit because they know he's a dumb fuck. And he's just flip-flopping around. It's so stupid. Dave, it was a cost thing where they went, okay, how much are you paying these guys? They need a pay cut. Or they're not going to take one, they can go. How much are you paying this guy? Well, we got like 7 guys we think are ready to come up from NXT. So, Ethan Page gets paid a third. Sol Ruka gets paid a third of what Zelina Vega gets, and she's not doing numbers. Fuck her, we're peace out. You can get rid of her, they talk about all of these things. It's not whatever this conversation, Dave, is. They go up to them and say, look, who are you bringing up? It's just like all of it is working together. It's on creative. So they went, hey, creative, just who aren't you using? Just ask them. I mean, if they're all getting paid $300,000 each, we're trying to save like 10 million here. So just cut whoever you think. Like, there's not like a number and what you're paying people conversation in the mix too. Dave's just cooked.
Who are you not planning on using? Who on the roster are you not planning on using? Give us X number of names, which would be the number that were brought up, and additional names from SmackDown. The reason being that SmackDown at the end of this month, not next month, the end of this month, SmackDown is going to
The end of this month, not next month, this month. Well, no shit, you just said that.
2 hours. So therefore, there is an hour of less time of television. So therefore, there is less time to put as many.
So now it's because that there's an hour less on SmackDown. So let's cut SmackDown people just because there's an hour less. So it's just strictly a creative. I don't know about that, man. I don't know about that.
People
Dave.
on. So therefore, there would be additional cuts on the SmackDown side. So that's the story behind the number of cuts.
I don't know if I trust Dave on his assessment there entirely. Like, so the number of cuts are based on, well, SmackDown's going to 2 hours. So who are you paying that? You're not. And then what? You're going to rehire a bunch of people? They just called up a bunch of people too. Are you sure it's not just like, hey, it's after Mania. We're going to look at our overall, the bottom line. We're going to look at what some people cost. We're going to look at how they're being used. And then we need to call a bunch of these people up. Now's the time because the ESPN thing's coming up. Ethan Page, the ratings don't change if Ethan Page is teaming with Miro or the fucking New Day or teaming against whoever. Ratings stay the same. Okay, he gets paid like nothing compared to the fuck. Not that he ain't getting paid, but like he gets paid peanuts compared to the fucking New Day. All right, that's what we'll do. Like and then he's just trying to chalk it up to like, well, the exact number because it's going down to 2 hours and there's a salary cap, but actually it's on creative to go, who aren't we using? I don't know. And it's a catch up from last year because they didn't cut as many people. And they're like, oh boy, we got to catch up on all those cuts from last year, even though SmackDown went from 2 hours to 3 hours. And you were talking about how they didn't cut people. So which is it? Like Dave just doesn't make sense in his bullshit ever. Ever. So we talk more about the TKO side of things. And here's Dave Meltzer talking about Nick Khan and the online hate. And much like Dave Meltzer, he's projecting here. Well, he isn't. Nick Khan does say this, that they don't listen to the online noise and shit like that. But let's hear Dave's assessment of this. And when I listened to this before, or I read the quote, I think originally, but the vocal, okay, so AEW, the IWC is the vocal majority. For WWE, the IWC is the vocal minority of the fans. So in Dave's bubble, he's like, oh, they pretend like they don't listen to the online noise because they don't really, well, they do. They do. They listen to everything. Absolutely. WWE, they've got their finger on the pulse. They're listening to everything. And they're seeing what people are saying everywhere, but they don't cater to the IWC. That's the difference. And they do dismiss it as hogwash, but when things become, there's a difference between like there's Twitter noise, which is what Dave's talking about, and then like when real journalists start picking things up and talking about things. Nick Khan separating the two. Right. And it is kind of cope from Nick Khan to be like, we don't listen to any of that, but that's what you got to do. It's just like Tone pretending everything's fine and putting himself over during the fucking Ted Turner segment on Dynamite, telling Sting to go out there and put him over. Tone's in La La Land too, but Dave just doesn't ever call out the malarkey on one side. He just wants to call out Nick Khan. But again, I don't give any of these carnies for carnying. Let's be honest. And Nick Khan's a carny. He understands the wrestling business clearly. He might be a huge part of the reason it's becoming more corporate fucking slop, but he understands and appreciates wrestling for what it is. Absolutely.
Nick Khan was
a big fucking fan. He's talked about it. He's on record saying
doing
it.
The deal of don't listen to social media. It's a vocal minority. I can go in and get the dumbest tweets possible that come out and say the stupid.
Dave, it is a vocal minority. Social media is like the vocal minority of WWE fans. It's not that way for AEW. That's why Dave is biased. He just shows it more and more every time he talks about this stuff, which side of the aisle he's on.
Those things possible and go read it to people and go, hey, see, look how stupid this is. And it's like, yeah, that's like maybe from the dumbest 5% of the people, of course. you know, you can do that. Like he was reading tweets about, oh, Roman Reigns will never make it. Well, see how dumb they are? And it's like, you know, that wasn't, or you can't hire CM Punk. And granted, you know,
Okay, but Dave, when people go, Roman Reigns will never make it, Dave takes that seriously. Oh, it's the dumbest tweets from the dumbest people, but he shuts that down. Yeah, because it's just like a dismissed thing, man. Like Dave, this is what I mean. He interacts with people like the bot accounts where it's like, bro, they don't, not all the time, like, but if you one up him, he'll just block you, whatever. But he just like thinks that when people go, Roman Reigns never made it, he'll respond to that tweet. I don't even know what he's necessarily talking about there, but that if anybody says something like that, that's just like a troll clearly, or just someone who's so far beyond fucking, like that would just be you mute or just dismiss, don't even interact with some shit like that. Right?
I mean, it was a risk hiring CM Punk, but it was the whole point. It's like they said not to hire CM Punk. They said not to push Roman Reigns. Look at what they know.
Who said not to hire CM Punk?
Oh, and it's like, you know, there's plenty of people who
what is Dave even talking about?
To push them. There's plenty of people who did want CM Punk, but he read like, you know, it's like one of those things. It's
this is recently. Punk's been back in WWE for years, dude. What do you? This is a recent Dave clip. Oh, there were people saying, don't do this, don't do that. Is he repeating what Nick Khan was saying? I don't fucking know, man. Dave's melting down.
You know, you read the dumbest ones, and if you focus on the dumbest stuff.
You read the dumbest ones. So now Dave is explaining what he does on Twitter and projecting it on as if that's how everybody conducts themselves on Twitter, and onto Nick Khan, who's on the board of TKO running $1 billion corporation.
Dummy, yeah.
Is that what Dave's doing? He's projecting his bad, unhealthy, toxic Twitter habits onto Nick Khan?
Of course you can go in there and go like, oh, it's all stupid, but it's, you know, there are very smart people, extremely smart people. There are very dumb people, and it's up to you to learn the difference, but to dismiss it all, you know, or tell employees to dismiss it all.
So are you butthurt that he doesn't listen to your incoherent Twitter ramblings, arguing with AEW fan 1010101 or whatever? Like, what do you care, man? Jesus Christ. The people he needs to listen to are in the room with him. And then, yes, he looks at social media, but he's saying the social media Twitter noise, that's all just noise. Whether they're right or wrong, it's all just noise, right? We need to focus on what we're doing. This is what I just gave Carlos Silva and TNA shit about. They should not have backed down to AEW on the time with Slammiversary. AEW should not change the time of their show because WWE goes on at the same time. Fucking just do it. Just do your show. Fuck it. Or else don't cry about them, you know? Stop crying about them. Like AEW's been crying about TNA. TNA should have stood their ground, man. Because the online noise, whether people are right or wrong. Oh, but they'll get more viewers. Okay. It's noise, man. You choose what you want to do. You fucking stand, or you back down and then you stand on it, put on a great show, whatever the fuck you want to do. But that's what they mean. That's what Nick Khan means. And Dave's extrapolating it to like his toxic. Well, you look at the dumbest people, you respond to them, then you block them once they own you. And then you look at the smartest people, who are people I didn't block because they wouldn't dare own me, Bryan. That's what Dave's saying.
You know, I think that was kind of, you know, the way that was done. I mean, it was like, that's very manipulative, I guess, to me, because there's always stuff. There's always stuff to learn from the fan base. You know, I mean, like, no matter.
Yes, the people in the audience, the people with real criticism, the people who are coherent when they speak, the people who don't have an interest in spoiling the show and getting everything leaked to them. And they just care about wrestling. I think that's more.
Or what, right?
Who you listen to.
The complaints about WrestleMania with all the commercials. I mean, that's a valid complaint no matter what. And it's never really been addressed still from anyone exactly like why.
Because they're not going to address it because it's all Twitter noise. Good, whether people are sweeping for all the ads like Julian Weeks, or whether you're fucking sitting there and shitting all over it, like JD from NY. Whatever, it's just noise to them because they're going to keep doing it. That's why they haven't even really talked about it. Do you get it, Dave? That's what he means when he says what he said, but you need media literacy. You need to study and learn, Phil Marks.
Learn, baby, learn. Meltzer Inferno.
You don't even know
why did we have a pay-per-view with that much commercial time in both days and cut back on the wrestling time? And that's not an invalid complaint by a vocal minority. I think that was pretty much a complaint across the board. I think
Dave, you're an invalid.
It's pretty much a complaint of the talent that got shortchanged on time.
That was a complaint with the talent. I didn't hear one talent complain about that shit. And then Dave, he just fantasy bookmarks, like, think about how crazy this is, what we're about to listen to. He just fantasy books, like, well, what if something did? Triple H isn't going anywhere, ... But is there a successor in case something happens?
You what?
In case he eats this poison apple I've gifted him? I mean, except it's like, Tony Khan.
The best guy's Tony Khan.
Whoa, Dave, what are you saying here, buddy? What are you insinuating might happen to him? This is a fucking lock him up, dude. This is a Netflix doc waiting to happen. So if you guys remember, Dave Meltzer was like, oh, Eric Bischoff, if he wants to prove Tone wrong, he can with RAF. And then now he just doesn't talk about RAF, really. He doesn't talk about Bischoff because they are doing really well. And then he talked about Conan. You can prove Tony Khan wrong. You're doing AAA right now. And then AAA just blows AEW out of the water. And then Conan gets these accolades, and then he's getting inducted in the Hall of Fame. And then Dave's like, oh, he's not on commentary, and there's some big thing that's happening. Wouldn't it be crazy if he got fired? And he fantasy mark booked Conan getting fired. I mean, like, they buy this thing and he did all this work to get it over, and then they just fire him, and he's like laughing about it. Now he's sitting here talking about, is there, in case something might happen to Triple H? Like, whoa, buddy. What are you fucking planning? Who are you dog whistling with some shit like this?
Let's just say that Levesque does a bad job, which he hasn't done.
And let's just say I'm wearing a ski mask and following him home in a tinted window SUV. And let's just say somebody cuts the wiring on his brakes, and I just so happen to pack my silencer and my PP. Like, what? This is jokes, guys. This is fucking this is Cartoon Network over here, but like, Jesus Christ, man.
Or let's just say that there needs to be a scapegoat for something going wrong, and he ends up being that scapegoat. The thing is okay, so you take him out of the picture. So where do you go?
Oh, fuck.
Who you hire?
Well, let's see. We got Shawn Michaels,
who absolutely wouldn't want the workload.
We got The Undertaker,
who absolutely wouldn't want the workload.
How do you know HBK or Undertaker wouldn't want the workload?
Borash. We got.
You think that there's.
I don't know who would be. They're not getting.
Dave just wants to go. Well, the best guy's Tony Khan. Dave, Tony
the
can
best
do
guy's
it.
Tony Khan.
Why couldn't Borash do it? So Borash, Undertaker, and HBK. Boom. Those are the three guys running it. And they just split up their responsibilities. Then the workload's not so heavy, and it's more of those three in a committee. And then you have Heyman there. Boom. And why are we fantasy mark booking if Triple H went away? Say if Tony Khan went away, he won't even ever have this conversation. Why? Because anyone could slide in and do the job, the subpar job Tone's doing, or a little bit better. Could put Jeff Jarrett in there, Bischoff, fucking Jim Cornette. You could slide in HBK there. Borash could run AEW the way Tone does, probably better. You know, it's just a matter of the money.
Rid of Hunter anytime soon, unless they have a suitable replacement.
I mean, the only thing that's going to get him in trouble, the only thing that's going to get him out is like a scandal, and he's been scandal free. So, or like a nosedive of business, but business isn't going to. I mean, they're the nature of their business right now is such that it's not going to nosedive. It could go down a little bit.
And even if it did nosedive, I mean, I don't know how these people operate, but when Vince was in charge, the creative absolutely nosedived. And the idea, well, obviously he was in charge, but I mean,
that's
nobody can replace Vince. Nobody could possibly replace this guy. You know how long I had to hear that stupid line?
Yeah, but you fucking tards said it too. Like, look, I had to hear that stupid line. The thing is it takes like 4 guys to do all the shit just Vince did. And that's why Tone does what he does, because he's trying to just artificially put himself in that fucking type of space. And realistically, it should be like a handful of people. The buck has to stop with one person. That's Triple H on the creative and week-to-week booking side of things. Right? So, yes. Oh, who would take his place? No one could do it. It's only could be one person. Well, it's not even really one person right now, according to you, Chucklefucks. Nick Khan's telling them who to release and shit. Or maybe he isn't. I don't know, because I can't ever understand your fucking lies and ramblings.
And then he sure got replaced pretty easily by somebody who did a better job.
One of the things with the booking is that the talent has to respect him in some way. And with Paul, the one thing is with the talent is like, a large percentage came up through NXT. And so he was their mentor and buddy and everything like that. So they have, a lot of loyalty to him. They think he hung the moon. You know what I mean?
He hung the moon? They think he hung your moon? You what? Hung the moon, Bryan? What are you fantasizing about right now?
I mean, he's the guy, right? So,
well, the cat's in the cradle and the silver spoon, Bryan. Little boy blue and the man on the moon. He's the man on the moon. He's Andy Kaufman. He's fucking Jim Carrey. You remember Jerry the King Pile drove Jim Carrey playing Andy Kaufman. Bryan's like, Dave, what the fuck are you talking about right now?
He gets a lot of benefit of the doubt, even if things, even if you're frustrated or whatever, you just kind of think of that. And a lot of people had that with Vince too. Just the aura of Vince. Is like, well,
he's the boss.
I don't really get it, but he's Vince, right? He knows all.
I don't get it. He's Vince. He knows all. No, he's the man with the checkbook who fucking made wrestling what it is. Tone does the same thing. He books it all. He knows all. He's the end all be all. He doesn't listen to people's shit. It's the same mentality. The buck has to stop with somebody. You need leadership, Dave. You're a poor leader. That's why you don't get it.
Even though he didn't know all. I mean, nobody knows all, but so you have that. But if you bring in somebody, and I mean, this was the thing Tony Khan had to battle for the first couple of years.
Tony Khan had to battle. This is the thing he had to battle for the first couple of years, Bryan. And now he's back to just saying, I'm the end all be all and I book everything. Nobody knows everything except for me, Bryan.
Is that you just had, people not respecting him. He was paying them. But at the end of the day, it was like
they still don't respect him, and he's just
the best guy is Tony Khan.
He didn't have that respect from the talent
because he never wrestled. He never trained a bunch of them. He didn't book them in NXT. He never took a bump. He never was multi-time 14, 15-time world champion, wrestled main events, took out WCW in kayfabe single-handedly, one by one. D-Generation X, the Click. He didn't help discover people like China and make her fucking so big they debated making her a world champion. She won the IC title. Tone hasn't done a good goddamn thing. He's taken guys who were over in other companies and then positioned them as if they were over in his company. That's all he's done. He's never fucking made a guy. Look at Darby. The worst attendances, the worst ratings and shit. Dave's coping about it. Look at Darby. Why? Because he never made Darby a star. He never made Sting lay down for him. Never did business. People don't respect that shit. He's a money mark. And Tone had to deal with it at first. He's still dealing with it. The fact Andrade could do what he did and then just come back to AEW after everyone cried about him, and now Black, they're talking, he might be in negotiations with AEW. And you're even deliberating if he can go back after he wouldn't lay down and do jobs. People don't respect that because Tone doesn't respect himself.
At first, he had to earn it. I think he's got it now.
He had to earn respect. How did he, to a degree, how did he earn respect from anybody? He just disrespected Ted Turner. He disrespected Ted Turner before Ted Turner died. And then during his tribute to Ted Turner, he made Sting go out there and put him over. Nobody respects that. Nobody respects that. Jesus Christ. And you guys, oh, well, Triple H tried to salvage the company after his fucking father-in-law almost ruined his fucking creation by being a pervert or whatever allegedly, right? This is a cartoon. It's like, what the fuck are we talking about? Fuck. So Dave Meltzer, he talks a little bit now about the creative aspect of WWE and the types of fans that were at this year's WrestleMania and how it was different from previous years, even though, Dave, you were just hanging out you got paid to do a watch along. You charged tickets to have a bunch of marks watch WrestleMania with you. Like, what the fuck would you know? You went and did all these things with your group of troglodytes. So how the fuck do you know who was in Vegas to see WrestleMania? I'm just joking. You obviously seen the crowd. But this is when... Now, a lot of people levied this criticism towards AEW for a long time and All In. And people were like, look, man, I'm not trying to do like a race thing and seem cringe, but it just seemed like a lot of like neckbeard, losery white guys at fucking AEW shows. You remember that? That was like a criticism a lot of people gave to AEW. Here's Dave like doing the same thing. Essentially, he's trying to like, oh, the people, there was no culture there, Bryan, and all this shit. And here's him talking about the type of people who were at WrestleMania and pretty much shitting on WWE fans. Because poor people and cultured people don't like WWE. Or wait, maybe I said that backwards. I don't know. He's saying cultured people don't like WWE, I guess.
Poor people don't like AEW. There were a lot of wrestling fans. I saw them everywhere. It was completely different from last year. Got to be way, way down in foreign fans. Yeah, there's some friends of mine or people I know from the UK that were there, but way less. And Canada, obviously there's people from Canada that I saw way, way less than other years.
Yeah, there was less people there than last year or the year before. What are we fucking... You learn how to do math, Dave, today? Holy shit.
God, this is going to sound terrible, but the look.
See, he's going to talk about the look. So when people talked about, okay, the look of this AEW crowd is like fucking neckbeard sickos and shit, and people got so triggered by that. Do you guys remember that shit? And especially when it came to All In. And now Dave's about to hit WrestleMania WWE with the same fucking criticism years later.
The look of the wrestling fans this year was different from every year that I've gone to wrestling.
They weren't hip like me. They didn't have the flyest merch. They weren't, what are they called? Fly beasts. What are those guys called? Beast games? What are Mr. Beasts? I don't know.
The week of WrestleMania, because I don't go to the show itself, but I've gone most weeks to the week. But
I've gone most weeks to the week. And then whoever edited this, look at this fucking redact. Whoever edited this had to edit his words. I gone most years to the week. But Dave's saying I didn't even go there. So the people I saw around Vegas, but who weren't at WrestleMania, didn't look that cool. Shut the fuck up. You weren't there. You weren't in the building. Shut up. You didn't see the people in the building. You were just in and around Vegas at a barbecue spot and shit that you booked in advance for you and your fucking cave-dwelling Morlock mutant fucking fan base to hang out with you in Vegas. I didn't go there the week of the week, and that's why I kicked your leg from your leg, Brett. The week from the week, look at the captions. Buddy had to go in there and edit what he was trying to say. Imagine that phone call. Brrr. Dave, what were you trying to say? Well, how dare you ask? It's pretty obvious. If you studied and learned, you'd know that I meant years.
WrestleMania, the week of WrestleMania, because I don't go to the show itself, but I've gone most weeks to the week.
Most weeks
And
to the
it was-
week. And that's why I kicked your leg from your leg. What the fuck are you talking about?
Just different. It was like the people I saw.
And that's why I was the right gay at the right gay guy time. Let's do it again, Vince, brother.
Were way more stereotypical of wrestling fans and way
So what happened was Dave pulled up to Vegas. He got people to pay to hang out with him. His fan base and the troglodytes around him are these fucking smelly, lame neckbeard dudes. And he's like, wow, I didn't go to the actual show where all the fans who paid shitloads of money, different cultures, you could see it in the fucking different ethnic groups, all colors, creeds, shapes, and sizes in this fucking building watching WrestleMania. You can see it when you're watching the show. But the people he saw in Vegas on the outskirts where he had to fucking scurry away to have his Brazilian steak night and shit, so Booker T didn't fucking kick him out of the place or whatever. He had to he saw what the people looked like, and he's like, oh, culturally, I mean, they look like a stereotypical, just a lame wrestling fans. Even though that's the same criticism levied towards AEW, and people were like, how dare you say that? That's just untrue. That's fucking bullshit. Da-da-da-da. People were saying how that wasn't fucking, you can't say that. And it's just crazy, man. It's such projection. It's just him making shit up in his mind. And it's just him going, this is an anecdote based off of the people he surrounded himself with at WrestleMania week.
less of people who you wouldn't think are wrestling fans to come up to you, if you know what I mean. It was the people who were there, especially
You weren't there though. You said you weren't there.
think that, again, I don't know about going to the show, but it was
So the people just who were in Vegas. So this is a criticism of Nevada. Is that what this is, Dave? What's the point you're trying to make? Hackamania was there right before WrestleMania. You know what kind of fucking troglodytes exist in the Dabbleverse, dude? You were fucking looking at some dabblers. He's hanging out with Stuttering John, the Duke. Yeah, I had a beer with Meltzer.
the people who were there. I mean, my feeling was that they were like your, ride or die WWE fans. Could not. I haven't been getting so much news from so many people. You would have no idea right now. but they're just gonna.
It's just, and then Garrett, tell me more, Daddy. Yes, tell me more.
Go because it's WrestleMania, and it's almost like, I don't say it's like a need to go, but it was different from before.
There was just less people, and you didn't hang out where anybody was. And you're an old man, and you're not as popular as you once were. People think you're a joke. People see you and probably try to avoid you now, Dave. So you didn't see many people. Fuck's your problem? What's wrong with this guy?
There were a lot of.
And so Dave Meltzer and Bryan Alvarez, they have some stuff to say about the creative aspect of WWF right now.
And I've been a big fan of like all of Danhausen's stuff that he's done since debuting, but I wasn't into this one. This felt
Okay,
like
so-
WWE trying to write Danhausen comedy, and I don't like that.
Okay, I feel that Danhausen is great in small doses, and tonight's show, or Friday night show, I should say, Friday night show was not small doses.
There was a lot of Danhausen on this show, and a
Yeah,
lot of
yeah.
Miz.
I think though, if you put a lot of them on the show, I think that it becomes a turnoff. And to be honest, most people that would be the case, but Danhausen in specific, because it's kind of like a one-note gimmick. I mean, he's, and it was just so much on the show. So I think that was
Danhausen, a one-note gimmick? I don't know about that. What is he? I don't know. Dave he would have never said this if Tone was pushing Danhausen in AEW.
I felt
a one-note gimmick. So, like, what do you mean? He can just do the "you are cursed" thing? So Sideshow Bob only steps on the rake? And he's a one-note gimmick? Because he, like, what does that even really mean?
I felt that like they're gonna burn. Like when the show was over, or not even over, halfway over, I was like, they're gonna burn this guy out. You know, he's gonna have like that type of a gimmick is.
I said it too, though. Like you can't overdo the Danhausen stuff. You got to slowly ease people into the curses, and they're already going to like pyrotechnics going off multiple times. So, I mean, I'm with people who say it might be a little much. It's working so far. Danhausen is no spring chicken, and he's not some world beater pro wrestler to where it might just be like, here's a window of him just being super funny. We're going to run it to the moon and fly it to the moon, and hopefully we get longevity out of it. But are they sitting there going, Danhausen's going to be a gimmick for the next 10, 20 years and shit? I don't know, man.
Going to have like a certain shelf life anyway. And
it's like saying the Boogeyman is a one-note gimmick. It's like, well, I don't know. That just all depends on the booking.
The key is to extend it as long as possible. But the more you put them on, more time that you give them on specific shows over and over, it speeds up that process. So, whatever. I mean, I'm sure the deal is, is that they probably go in there and it's his merchandise is selling. We got to put him on more. And in some cases, that's a great way to do it. If someone's really popular, you put them on more. But some people, like everyone's different. And his thing is that you want him exposed every week, but you don't want him to be over.
Okay, so this is the first week where they went, we're going to go a little longer with the Danhausen shit. And then we go, we don't like that as much. Okay, so then we live and we learn, we keep going. He's sitting here and doing like an analysis of his career and breaking down why. The fuck are you doing, man? Just shut the fuck up. Give a simple critique like everybody's capable of doing but you. So Dave Meltzer, he talks about Roman Reigns here and Roman Reigns' schedule that's been a little all over the place.
All right, this Roman Reigns story is off the road in June.
A lot of the stories going around are completely false on that, but he's not going to be on the Saudi Arabia pay-per-view, so he's been removed from the TVs that build the Saudi Arabia pay-per-view. That's the story with why he was on these dates that were announced. And they literally, that's funny part is, like, they were just announced like a couple days ago. Like, was it Friday or Saturday? Friday, probably. They probably announced Friday. And then
Dave always goes, that's what's funny. And like, none of it's funny. You mean peculiar or odd.
By Sunday, they're unannounced. They're taken off. And then that's essentially the reason. They probably,
They said it was a clerical mistake. Study and learn, dude.
Look, you can watch the TV and you can see that plans are.
You can watch TV. You can look and see.
Changing real fast. I mean, like, Roman Reigns and Gunther was supposed to be the big thing coming out of Mania, and now it's Cody Rhodes and Gunther. Cody Rhodes and Punk did that big angle.
It wasn't a big angle to set up, and then they switched from it. Dave, they planted the seed the night after WrestleMania, but you're too fucking dumb and goldfish-brained is the problem. So they just planted a seed, and then throughout the year, we're going to get Rhodes versus Punk. One of the main events this year, the next WrestleMania that we get. Whether it's in Saudi or wherever the fuck, right? Who knows at this point? And then they want Seth Roman. It was a big angle. It wasn't a big angle, dude. It was like, here's chapter 1 of this year, of the start of the new season of WWE after fucking Mania this year.
Set up a big match, and now it's Cody Rhodes and Gunther. So why?
He just has he just doesn't get it, man.
Whatever. I mean, I couldn't even answer the question. There's many changes. They have plans, and they don't stick to plans, and it's a different kind of not sticking to plans than Vince, but that's the situation right now there. It's
so the plan isn't Rhodes Punk. Are you sure about that?
I don't
Dave?
know.
Well, apparently it was Friday that he was added to the shows. They've had the dates and locations for a long time, but they added him Friday and then immediately removed him. So I suppose it's possible that one hand didn't know what the other hand was doing when they added him, and then someone immediately said, hold on a second. And
It's not so much one side didn't know. It's
So how do you know? Because they just said it was a clerical mistake and somebody just wrote him in and they didn't mean to.
that
One
I
hand
think they
doesn't know.
assumed
I think they
something.
assume something. Like they don't know Roman's fucking schedule. I think they assume something, so they're not going to book our top fucking star. We don't know his fucking schedule. Oh my God.
was going to happen, and it was leaning in that direction, and then it leaned in the other direction. So that's the situation. It's not any.
I think so. Dave just lays out a situation, and okay, Dave, that could be a possibility, but then he definitively goes, so that's the situation.
Look, put it this way: if he loses to Jacob next weekend, it's probably going to be a real big story. I don't think he's losing to Jacob, and if he doesn't lose to Jacob, it's exactly what it's probably no story other than finalizing dates and things like that, and so that's about it.
So we move along here.
all right, this Roman.
And again, Davey just talks definitively about shit he has no idea about. But Trying Brian is trying here. He's crying out for help.
Brian.
And he talks about WWE Raw this past Raw.
Yeah, I did too.
I thought that was great.
I actually really liked the show tonight. I thought, and a lot of that was, I thought it was very crisp. And I thought, like for all the talk of bad morale and hatred of, the management and all that, it's like in Omaha, like those people didn't care.
Hatred of the management. And Dave, this is the online noise. Nick Khan's like, we don't listen to that shit. You have hatred of the management.
They were a great crowd. That was one of the better Raw crowds in a long time. And, match quality wise, I don't know there was any super matches.
Super matches. Oh, hey, there's a superstar, there's a superstar, and there's top. Was there any matches? I don't know if there was any super matches, like fucking Green Lantern versus Wonder Woman or whatever.
He had Cuervo with him the whole
What
time
is
too.
this guy talking about?
Or
man?
anything like that, but there was.
I don't think Super Cena was in a match, but
there was good matches on the show. And, the Roman Reigns, Jacob stuff, I think it's compelling. I mean, it's not babyface heel. It's kind of like everyone in the family, like Solo and his crew are heels. The Usos and Roman Reigns are baby faces, but they're all united against Jacob, who's also a baby face. So it's.
Well, it was interesting because on the show this week, he was a baby face. He was definitely.
Oh my God. And you guys remember when Cody Rhodes said in AEW, the idea of good guy, bad guy, that's kind of stupid. And then fucking these guys were all like, yeah, I mean, he's right. That's an old wrestling mentality. Then these two old fucks, all they talk about, well, he was babyface, and it's confusing because, guys, Jacob Fatu has never been a good guy since he's come to WWE. What has he done that's good guy-esque? He was in a bad guy group. He fucked them up. He fucked this guy up. He beat this guy up. This guy jumped him, so he attacked this guy. The people just got behind him. Same with Roman Reigns. Roman was never kissing babies. He might have come out for a save, but he still is telling the Usos, like, hey, get your brother in line, and still saying, I don't give a damn if these fans get behind. Same with Jacob. Yes, he's going, I'm all gas, no breaks with it, yada me. And the crowd's like yelling it with him. Like, yes, he does that shit. He's got his catchphrases, all that. And like, yes, you get behind him. He's fighting bad guys and shit, but nothing Roman or Jacob Fatu, either of them, nothing they've done has been explicitly babyface. Okay? The most babyface shit was Roman just going, okay, we're all going to put ones up together, in the middle of the ring. And it's like, all right, I guess they've both just been, so they're both kind of tweener-ish, okay? And Roman's in that position where everybody chants OTC, and sometimes he's got to be the bad guy when it makes more sense that Punk is the good guy, and sometimes he's got to be more of the good guy so that Jacob Fatu can get the Tongan death grip over. And they're both kind of tweeners, and they're both just like their family who have to fight, and Fatu's like, look, where I'm at right now, I'm in this position to fuck you up, Roman. And that's what I care about. Like, I need what you got. If it wasn't him, it'd be somebody else. So again, they're just like, well, he was babyface, but then he was heel, and then he was babyface, and then he was heel, and oh my God. But then when AEW does this shit, they don't care at all. They don't give a fuck. They don't, it's never a criticism. It's never like, oh, what is Moxley doing? Well, I guess for Bryan, but with Dave, he justifies it all the time. Bryan, well, he was saying the Moxley shit was stupid. And the Moxley shit is dumb, like the Ospreay Moxley stuff.
Booed last week. When he laid out Roman Reigns last week, that guy got booed. Yeah. And then he got cheered on SmackDown, and then he got cheered again when he laid him out this week. Yeah. So,
what was interesting too is
exactly. So it's almost like it's perfect the way they're booking them, because you can cheer or boo for either of these guys, but you give a fuck about either of these guys. It's almost the best case thing. They're just over no matter what right now. It's like on 2K26 when you pick, does your guy get cheered or booed or mix? You can pick mix, right? Because there's some guys you just want to fucking cheer, like Roman Reigns, and you want to put your one up and say OTC, even though he's never really, like, he ain't done shit to redeem himself. Like, he's still, if you think about it, what did he really do? And even Punk played it kind of in the middle with the Sika comments and shit. He had to play it kind of in the middle with Roman, because that's what you do. It's polarizing, man.
Braun Breaker got booed, but it was when Braun Breaker laid out Seth with his final spear today. It's like they booed, like half the crowd booed Braun Breaker loudly, and the other half were chanting one more time.
So it's kind of like John Cena sucks. No, he doesn't. Or what would they chant? You can't wrestle. Yes, he can. And you'd have the people going, John Cena rocks or John Cena sucks. Oh, so they just like really care about these people. Huh. So crazy.
Yeah. So it's not a uniform reaction. I mean, you have people who are there for moments, and they just want, if someone, like again with Roman, even, if somebody went out.
How about bass Dave? We got to give him a bassed flute for like sunning Alvarez here, showing him why he's still in charge. Who runs the household? Who wears the pants in the family?
There and just laid him out, put him through a table. They'll chant one more time, even though it's Roman. But a lot of the crowd will boo the guy because Roman's the big star, and that's essentially what happened with Seth on tonight's show.
Right, but
I thought that Oscar.
Here's the one thing though, with Breaker and Seth, clearly one guy's a heel, clearly one guy's a babyface in this scenario. And then as far as Roman and Jacob, it's like neither of them have really done anything to indicate that they're good or bad. They're just kind of like neutral ass whippers. And they both can pass what is called the airport test. Now, again, if Jacob Fatu is walking down the street or Roman Reigns is walking down the street, people know who the fuck he is. Okay? People know who Roman is in the mainstream and shit. Ladies melt when they see fucking Roman. Dave Meltzer is going to say Ciampa, the airport test. If I saw Ciampa walking through the airport, I'd think he was a high school fucking gym teacher, okay? And Dave is about to talk about is about to kick your leg from your leg. He's about to speak on the airport test and say how it's a fraudulent thing. Dave has zero concept of aura or it factor. He just looks at moves people do in a ring, and then expects the entire universe to know their body of work and shit.
We had a Ciampa promo where he said he'd been told his entire career he wasn't good enough, big enough, didn't pass the airport test.
Don't you think the airport test is like one of the stupidest things?
No, Kevin Owens doesn't pass the airport test, but he still managed to rise above and beyond. Don't you think it's the stupidest thing in wrestling? Okay, so Hulk Hogan walking through the airport, and then Ciampa comes walking up behind him. Who are you like, oh my God? Dave sees a fucking Japanese guy and he fucking melts down.
Oh my God, it's the greatest thing I've ever seen. Wrestling.
Passing the airport test will get you a job. It does not guarantee you will be a top star, but it will often get you a job.
Yeah.
And if your goal is to get a job, then pass the airport test.
Yeah,
but if you want to be one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, you can do it without passing the airport test.
Okay, so here's the thing. All the airport test is be really big and muscular. Okay?
No,
so
no. Nope, it's not that. So when Shinsuke came to WWE, one thing WWE was saying, oh, we heard rumors about this guy, how he passed the airport test. He definitely passed it. Doesn't mean be big and muscular. Okay? It means like some people just have aura. Some people have that it factor. Some people have a thing you just can't explain about them. Okay, you see Jade Cargill. Okay, she's big and muscular, I guess. But you see certain people coming through the airport and people go fucking nuts. Jet Li. A video just came out of Jet Li. He came to LA recently and he met up with, what's that guy's name? Anthony Anderson. They were in Romeo Must Die together, right? And they like reunited on this talk show. And Jet Li came to LA and he was just swarmed by people. Because it's Jet fucking Li. And even though he's this little Asian dude, he's got fucking aura. People know Jet Li. There's something about him. He is the one. The most underrated fucking Jet Li movie is The One. With Jason Statham before Jason Statham was Jason Statham. And he wasn't really a kung fu fighter guy yet himself. He was like, I play a cop. I'm a cop and I'm investigating you, you know? And dude, it's just, the airport test isn't just be big and muscular, okay? Bruce Lee probably passed the airport test, wasn't big and muscular. You know what I mean?
Bodybuilder that's...
Not all bodybuilders, not all gym bros pass the airport test, okay? A bunch of them look just generic and the same. Like they're on the same peptides and shit, okay, buddy?
2 or more easily passes the airport.
No.
Test, or even any bodybuilder shorter than that. I've been in airports.
Yes, and many of them have gotten hired by Vince McMahon back in the day.
But most have not.
Yeah.
Most bodybuilders have not been that have tried for wrestling jobs have not been hired. And the ones who have, I mean, some of them make it and most of them don't. So it's like kind of, I mean, like, yeah, I mean, like giant football linemen pass the airport test. And every
not
NBA
all the
player,
time. No, but not all the time. Okay. There are like people aren't stalking the fucking O-line of the Seahawks or whatever the way some of these wrestlers get fucking right. Like the airport test isn't just, a tall guy walks into the grocery store and you're like, oh, that dude's tall as fuck. That's not the airport test. That's not all it's not just based on height and muscles. Dave's so mental.
Practically passes the airport test. Doesn't make him a good player. Just means that if you see a 6'8" guy in the airport, you notice him.
Doesn't make him a good player. Okay, but wrestling isn't about fucking God. He just thinks it means like Osprey can do flips. We just do pile drivers, man. That's not what makes you a good player. In wrestling, having aura makes you a good player. Thus, the airport test means something. In basketball, it might not. Oh, look at fucking Kyle Kuzma dyed his hair blonde and he's tall. Everybody looks at him and he's not that good at basketball, though. It's not the same thing. And even him, though, he got fucking, there's marketability in that.
Van Hammer, perfect airport test guy, right? He was it's funny, we talked about him earlier. Do you know that Van Hammer was signed?
So, and this is the thing. So Dave is dismissed if they pass the airport test. Yeah, that's one test. So yes, you pass the airport test. It's not the end all be all. Not everybody who quote passes the airport test is going to be Hulk Hogan. But Dave is too dumb. He can't separate. It's like, what are you arguing? Like actually state, well, I'm arguing it's bullshit, but it's not because it's a real thing. Oh, it's the biggest bullshit ever. Doesn't mean you're good. Okay. No, nobody said that. You just invented a thing out of thin air and are now debating with yourself about
that $156,000 a year deal after he'd had one professional wrestling match and put on television and put in a winning streak gimmick with one match on a frickin'
and chat saying like Van Hammer didn't pass the airport test actually. And like, that's the thing. Dave just doesn't know what that even means. Bam Bam Bigelow passed the airport test. So I just don't know what he's talking.
North Georgia independent show.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, because Dusty saw him and thought, hey, he's the next Sid Vicious. And he was not the next Sid Vicious.
Okay. What is the point? So Dusty didn't scout a guy good, or the airport test is bullshit? The fuck you talking about, dummy? So chat, we got one more story. It's been a long one. I knew it would be. Pause. That's what she said. Oh, giggity. Make sure you hit like, make sure you hit subscribe. Make sure you heart, retweet, rate this pod 5 stars, all that good shit. Become a member for only 99 cents or check out patreon.com/ProWrestleTimes. We need one more flute in the chat because this is our main event here for this episode of DMDMW. Dave Meltzer dumb moment from the past few weeks. So Dave Meltzer gets owned by Niccolo Piccolo here, and then he melts down about Niccolo Piccolo, and he just won't say Niccolo Piccolo's name. And as Niccolo Piccolo confirmed on his interview on Body Slam or with Body Slam or whatever, he was like, Dave's been instructed not to fucking talk about me, which is obviously something, I mean, we discussed many times on the show. People know this, you know, it's out there. Dave was instructed, don't acknowledge Niccolo Piccolo. He probably just muted him. He sees everything Nick says, but he responds to him like by proxy. Dave does this to everybody, right? He will like respond to someone else, like reacting to something Nick said or some shit like that, but he will never actually acknowledge him. And he was instructed not to. That's why. And so Dave Meltzer reacts to the news that allegedly in August, WBD passed on renewing AEW at the end of 27. They gave Tona a friendly courtesy heads up that he's not going to be on TNT TBS, and that Tone's lying to the roster and all of this shit. And so this guy, Dragon FC, says, compare how the trolls treat, report a 500K audience on Max, claims AEW was informed in August it won't be renewed. Niccolo Piccolo goes, the flaw in your post is I'm really well connected and I'm right. This guy goes, the reporter of the 500K Max claim also had sources, including a source that corroborated the numbers. That's not true. So Dragon FC, I'm sorry, but you're literally just regurgitating what BJ Bethel said. Okay? So we've broken down and people have noted how the fact that BJ Bethel thinks his story, quote unquote, has been corroborated in any form or fashion is redacted. And his source on the 500K number is what it is. I mean, it was just someone on Blue Sky not denying something he said. And Tone's never denied it, but he's never confirmed it either. Okay? So BJ Bethel's a fucking clown, and he just said Tony Khan corroborated what I said, but he didn't. He just didn't vehemently deny it. And again, this falls under all the guys going media literacy, and they have the lowest fucking room temperature IQ media literacy. Okay? It's always projection from these assholes. So Niccolo Piccolo responds to Dave here because Dave goes, August was before they added pay-per-views on HBO Max. I think that tells you all you need to know. But no, Dave, because if it's what your boy Phil Marks has been saying and WBD has been peeling off the top from AEW and all they could get was a bit of money from Amazon, then WBD might go, okay, we're bought into this thing. We'll finally just click the buy pay-per-views on Max, which they could have done way before, but didn't. Why? Because they were trying to see if Tone could get some more money for the fucking pay-per-view rights or whatever. That's my theory. And then they put the pay-per-views on there. I don't know, though. Like, if this doesn't turn out to be true, Nick's going to look like an asshole. And I've said that, too, a bunch of times, okay? If this turns out not to be true. He's tripled and quadrupled down and said he's tripled and quadruple sourced it. So Dave is calling the bluff, but he's not calling out Nick directly. Meanwhile, when the dirt sheets asked WBD and AEW about it, they both denied, and WBD said, in no professional capacity have they told anybody this stuff. Anybody in AEW about have we even discussed the TV rights deal? That was essentially how they worded it. Well, okay. Nick's like, dude, someone's just hooking. Someone told Tone. He knows, okay? Like, you guys can say whatever you want, professional or not, public or not, professional PR statement or not. I'm just telling you what I know. And Tone's been telling people, he's had meetings, and he's been telling people that he's going to go on YouTube and my AEW. And it kind of seems like, I mean, he just rolled out my AEW. I've broken down how YouTube's going into like the brand era, the brand tube era and shit. So check me out on kick.com/Pro Wrestle Times and check out Patreon /Pro Wrestle Times. But Nicolo Piccolo says, keep lying, old man. You don't have a reputation at this point anyhow. And Nick says, they're trying to scoop up any revenue stream they can find. I said pay-per-view is not a meaningful driver for Max. I'm not guessing. But if WBD goes, whatever you make, whatever AEW makes, we just take 10% of houses, pay-per-view sales, whatever, any sale they do, blah, 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 blah. Now, I feel like Nick would have said if that was the case. He might be privy to that info. I don't know. But that's always been my guess since day one. They just cut a little off the top for their stake of ownership. And then it's all good, baby. And why wouldn't it? That's a good deal for WBD if you think about it. And it makes sense. Because it's like, make this shit with WBD and AEW make sense the last how many years? They're just peeling off the top of everything from AEW. Okay. And Tone's willing to do that because he can just foot the bill for whatever fucking cost is, it's nothing. It's nothing to him. So in 2023, I was having a lot of direct conversations with Mary Donahue when she was running sports at Amazon Prime. She led the Thursday Night Football acquisition. Marie built out the pay-per-view infrastructure at Prime Video before Max ever got there. It's a catch-all layer, not a core revenue engine. Remember, I know these executives. I work in this space. This isn't theory. Okay? And so Dave just doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. And again, him going, well, this is before they added pay-per-view. Okay, even then, I was talking about how this seems late and desperate. Like now they're going to try and capitalize. Why didn't they do this before? Because Tone and WBD were probably holding out that Tone could get a bunch of fucking money from one of these other streamers or whatever. And then WBD, it makes sense for them because they just take 10% right off the top of whatever Tone's deal is to put the pay-per-view somewhere else. And they still get the replays after the 30-day or whatever the fuck. So they just rolled out the buy the pay-per-view now button after all else failed. And why? Because then they get the least amount of money. Like, it's okay, whoever's going to buy it for $30. But we take our WBD. Not only are the people subscribed to us, and then they buy the pay-per-view, which Tone gets his money from, but then we take 10% of the overall extra pay-per-view buys or whatever. Like, that's where it makes sense for WBD to just do whatever and let Tone try out whatever he's doing. At least in my mind, maybe that's way off. Maybe there's no such thing as deals like that. I don't fucking know. But to me, that's always made. I wouldn't be shocked if they took off of every attendance he does 10% or something, like 5% of every attendance. Whatever from whatever deal you do over here, we just take our 10%, take our 5%. You do a fucking this deal. Like, it would not shock me if the AEW merch, some of it went to WBD. We take 5% of all AEW specific merch sales or whatever. Would you be shocked by any of that? I wouldn't. They bought in on the shit, so they have to get their money back. They've been putting it on TV for a while. How do they do that? Ads and then they're paying Tone around 185 million upwards, but it's not really that much, and everyone knows it isn't. And it's not all valued in cash either. It's valued in like other things, other metrics. So they're working together, man. I just think WBD's been peeling off, man. And so with Dave saying that, if my theory's correct, then that doesn't matter. That's like they should have just did that before. They should have did that from the jump, but they didn't. Why? Are they dumb? Maybe a little bit, but I don't think they're that dumb. I think they thought they could get a bigger chunk of money. Like, oh, Amazon gave us some money. We'll take 10% of that. Yoink. Makes sense to me. Maybe I'm wrong and an asshole. I don't know. Someone should come correct me who knows more about this shit. Or if you work at Amazon Prime, hit me up. Where's this Marie Donahue? Hit me up, girl. So Dave Meltzer just gets felted, right? And then he responds to this shit. And it takes him forever. I mean, it's so funny. So Meltzer said what the GOAT goes, maybe now Dynamite Dave can address these AEW TV renewal rumors instead of him and GG wasting 25 minutes each show talking about the Hogan documentary he still hasn't finished watching. And that's the thing. Dave doesn't watch this shit. He comments on Unreal. He doesn't watch Unreal. He watched the Twitter clips. Or who has more influential, Hogan or Abe Lincoln, 4 stars and 7 years ago. And then Meltzer said what follows up with Dave trying to respond to Niccolo Piccolo, but being too scared to respond to Niccolo fucking Piccolo. So Meltzer said says, thank you, Dynamite Dave, for addressing the rumors of the story, which everyone has been talking about the past few days. You don't know the story? Oh my God, it involves he who must not be named, Lord Voldemort Piccolo. And only took 13 minutes to explain. Bryan, dwelling in purgatory. So Bryan's tired. He's fed up. He's filing the divorce papers. Here's Dave melting down, not bringing up Niccolo Piccolo because he's been instructed not to. And this is how they're all in bed together. Never forget.
The best guys, Tony Khan.
Here's the first clip.
All right, quick notes from UFC, and then we'll do the TV here.
We got to talk about the freaking story that everyone's been talking about the last 2 days.
Dave, the story, what you wrote in the daily update today, I was like, what is he talking about? You didn't even explain what the story was. You only said, the story is not true.
Bryan, because he can't address it. So look at Tiptoe. Dave Bryan's like, dude, I don't even know what you were talking about because you won't even say what we're alluding to. Just the story's not true. Because he thinks everybody's in the fucking IWC. Like, this is how melted Dave is. He spends all day scrolling Twitter while he's quote unquote writing all this shit about wrestling. And it's just on in the background. He's not really watching it unless it's CMLL or whatever the fuck, or AEW. And then he just writes like all this story. Like, what story? You just assume, even Dave, this is why his readers are getting whittled down to fucking cave-dwelling troglodytes, because he just caters to the sickoest of the sicko, of the observer sickos. Like, he thinks they're all just on Twitter and know what the fuck he's even talking about.
It's a weekend, dude. I'm not on Twitter. What happened?
You don't know this story?
No, what happened?
Oh my God. Okay. So a guy named John McMullen. Okay, so first.
A guy named John McMullen. You mean a reputable football and NFL reporter who also was cited in 2019 for having details on AEW's TV deal and all of this shit. And he was credited for fucking, I mean, these guys are just such assholes.
A guy I don't even want to talk about.
A guy I don't even want to talk about. Niccolo Piccolo. Why? Why don't you want to talk about him, Dave? Is it because you're in your fifis? Is it because he's made you look like a fraud? If and this is the problem too. If this guy you don't want to talk about so wrong, then prove him wrong. Have him on your show and prove him wrong. This isn't a matter of, well, his opinions and the way he does his reporting, and I don't like his t-shirt. It's not anything like that. You guys are talking about factually what's right and wrong. That's always where the debate with Nick and Dave arises from. Then just prove him wrong.
Basically,
it's a good start.
And or else convince everybody that your sources are better than his when it comes to media rights deals and all this shit. That's all you got to prove. Well, we don't expose our sources. Okay, then just make the claim. My sources are better than this guy's. I get he's a Hollywood agent. They think he's a joke. That's what he's saying about you.
Okay, that he claimed that David Zaslav in August called Tony.
And sorry, I don't mean to fucking keep pausing, but it's like, he's like, I won't mention Nick. Okay, if it's just some random guy like on Twitter or some fucking, if it's like me, like I don't expect Dave to ever bring up Phil Marks and fucking DMDMW, right? Like obviously, just I'm a gnat compared to you in the spit. Just fucking flick me away. I get that. When it comes to like Nick, who's like an entertainment business fucking guy, I don't even want to talk about him. Why? Because he's not glazing you? If he was glazing you, though, you'd be linking people to his fucking LinkedIn and going, look at what they said about me.
Conan said, we're canceling you.
Okay, clearly that didn't happen. It's now May.
No. That we're canceling you later. It didn't happen then, but the story is that they are done.
It's not canceling. It's just not renewing, Dave. So that could be the story, regardless if Nick said it or not. This could be a possibility that they're not going to renew you. We are done right now. Nope. He said that they're done. They're not going to renew them after 27. They're giving him ample time to find out what he's going to do, trying to hook a brother up, and everybody sees the writing on the wall with Paramount. They're not going to fuck with AEW. And instead, Dave is just melting down about shit that wasn't even said.
They are canceled. There's no hope. You know,
there's no hope.
It's the same people who have been trying to say there's, AEW's dead. So, but anyway, John McMullen, who is a reporter for the Philadelphia Eagles, who has, he's a guy who clearly, had one, he's one of those guys that comes on Twitter and tries to act like AEW's going to die. And
who JF McMullen? No, and that's the thing too. JF McMullen and Dave just is he's such bad faith and he's such a grifter that he just lies about people. Okay. He's a lying grifter. JF McMullen comes on there and says, oh, AEW's in a bad place. JF McMullen's like, dude, I wrote this article as a good thing. Like, they gave AEW a heads up. Again, Dave wants to talk about what's standard in sports. He doesn't care about AEW. Cares about the Eagles. Now you're just trashing this guy. Oh, he's just known as one of these detractors. He just hates AEW. So what? You just love AEW. What does that make your opinion any more valuable than his? Fucking such a goof.
Things like that. And he's always, on that. So it's like the perfect thing. It's like
a Twitter guy.
He's a Twitter guy. No, he's a reputable NFL Philadelphia Eagles reporter. We went over the shit he's worked for in the past. He's way more reputable than Dave Meltzer.
Philadelphia Eagles beat reporter. Okay. So anyway, he wrote a story that broke, was it yesterday? I think it was yesterday. That, they're done. Paramount's not going to pick them up.
Yeah. So he didn't say they're done. He said that WBD's not going to renew them at the end of 27. Like, that could have been without the Paramount sale. They could have done that regardless, Dave. So what are you coping about? And Paramount's not going to pick them up. Paramount's not going to pick them up, Dave. Accept that. If you studied and learned the business, you would know this.
That Tony knows. He hasn't told anyone. And he said that people close to
Tony should know what's going on by now. He should have the feelers out there for what's going to happen at the end of 27. He should start putting feelers out there, at least near the end of the year.
Tony have said, that's why they did this My AEW thing. Because
yes, Dave, the My AEW rollout was because of Triller and numerous other things, but also they're getting it ready so they can click the button live in North America. They're getting it ready, Dave. There's a reason why. And it's because he might end up on YouTube. This is WWE went through the same thing with NXT, where they were on YouTube for a minute. Then they went to the CW before the CW deal went through. So Tone might be rolling out My AEW as a backup, and then he might just be on Amazon Prime, or maybe he ends up on Fox. Nick is claiming that neither of those places want AEW. But yes, Dave, it's not even like this is some unique, crazy thing. If he said this about WWE and NXT, you would just be going, oh, it's true. This is what they're saying. This is what's going on. But because it's against your favorites, or you perceive it as negative towards your favorites when it wasn't, this isn't a negative thing. It's negative because it makes Tony look bad and it makes you look stupid. So that's why you're defensive.
If they can't get any TV, they'll have to go on My AEW, or they have this strategy of going to YouTube, and trying to, do whatever, like what MLW and some of these other companies do, where MLW and some of these other companies do, where, you try to get YouTube, and there's no money in that at all. I mean, there's pennies, like that's whatever. And
yeah, there's not a lot of money in that. He is right. But YouTube's going into, again, I've broken this down. Check out Memba Monday, PWT live show. YouTube's going into like the brand tube era. They might give Tone some sort of deal, like some sort of chunk of change to go on YouTube for sure. But it's just like it's not going to be 185 million and shit. So what happens when they're on YouTube? What is Dave going to say about this meltdown?
Again, like long-term, look, AEW is on a network that is going to be sold to Paramount. And the reality is that there will come a time in probably early 2027 where a decision is going to be made. And what that decision is we don't even know for sure it's going to be Paramount. Probably is at this stage. That's certainly where it's leaning. I mean, it's not like, but it's still got to be approved. There's plenty of people who are fighting the approval in the acting world. I mean, this is far from a done deal, but it's probably going to be Paramount that's going to be owning it. And, it's like, they're going to view every individual thing differently. But I mean, so the story.
So Dave is just holding out that Paramount views AEW differently. Oh, they do, buddy. They do.
Is that like Tony was told it's canceled? He knows, and and that's why my AEW was formed. It was a rushed out thing because he knew that he needed something like that, and they're not going to be able to. If they put it out, it's not going to be viable. Which again, I actually I mean, like if they were to do my AEW and they were to have the number of subscribers to first of all, my AEW was done. Obviously, everyone knows this. It was done because they were about to drop Triller. And in fact, they did, as I said, when this happened, they were about to drop Triller. And in fact, they did drop Triller right, pretty much right away, a month or so later.
Because everybody's like, oh, they're on Triller. Like Triller's dead. So like Dave, again, he's like, right when I said they would, they did it. Yeah, you talked to Tone on the phone, buddy. No one's impressed by this.
Triller was in bad financial situation, and AEW either had to make the move or, they were going to be in a bad financial situation with this thing, which they want.
So why couldn't that be the case for in America, though, and in Canada, where AEW goes to an app if they're not getting a new TV deal from Paramount or Warner Bros? So that can't be true in that situation. Dave is explaining exactly what is about to happen to AEW just in America. Whoa. And he's just coping over it.
Wanted to keep going. It was a very successful thing. I mean, we had the numbers in the Observer some time back. AEW made good money off.
So let's go.
AEW made good money off of this Triller Plus, but it was going to go, whether out of business or whatever. It was not a company that they wanted to be associated with long term because that company was in such bad financial shape. So that's what it was created for. It was not created for the U.S. market. It was not created for the Canadian market. You can't even
then listen to Dave's lie here.
Get it in the U.S. and Canadian market. So the idea,
yeah, you can. Yes, you can, Dave. I pulled it up on my show. We looked at my AEW. I could even add the pay-per-view to my cart in Canada. And they have podcast episodes uploaded there. AEW Unrestricted. And you never went to the site. You've never studied and learned. You're in denial because you know what that fucking means if you acknowledge it.
Stupid idiot.
It's being created, that this was created because he was going to lose television is just... It doesn't add up.
So the gist of it is someone made up a story and it's not true.
But it was reported and people everywhere went with it. And it got so bad that, I mean, even to Zaslav, they were furious. They were furious today.
Did it get to Zaslav? I don't know. Them being furious. What does that? Okay, so they're mad if Niccolo Piccolo blew their spot up or not. If it's made up, they're angry. If it's true and he leaked that shit, they're angry. So that doesn't indicate anything.
When it came out. And
how do you know, Dave, that it got to Zaslav? How the fuck do you know?
So the reporter ended up rewriting the story to be... just basically...
No, he didn't rewrite it. He just added a section being like, hey, all these triggered pussies need me to put this little crybaby thing in here that this isn't a bad article and this was WBD denied that this is the case, that in no professional capacity did they tell AEW anything, but not denying that maybe somebody gave Tony Khan a hookup on the low.
Changed it completely, because he had never asked anyone, but I'm sure they all contacted him. And the story of David Zaslav telling Tony Khan in August that you're canceled and you're gonna be.
They never said David Zaslav. They never said Zaslav told. Nick never said that. Jay McMullen or whatever never said that. Nobody said that Zaslav told Tony, "You're done. You're canceled." Dave, you're super fucking dumb, dude. You need to hang it up. Nobody said that. Nobody said that that's what they said. They said that the option's not getting renewed, and somebody told Tone in good faith, hoping that he would then get the AT. It was a hookup, right? That was essentially what it was. And the guy wrote the article saying this is a good thing. It's letting, it's good that WBD does some shit like that, but everybody just ran with it as a bad thing because Dave Meltzer's a crybaby bitch, and so are the sickos.
You're not going to be renewed, and even to the idea that they might not even fulfill the contract which ends at the end of 2027.
No, nobody said that. Nope. Nobody said that whatsoever. They just said that if the sale goes through, then anything's up in the air, which is totally true. And you were just reading sickos thinking that or wackos and listening to fucking Twitter like you do, Dave.
Or 2028, depending upon the option, which would be in whoever owns the company's thing, with Paramount or whoever's owning WB, whoever owns TBS, TNT, and HBO Max, at the end of 2027, we'll have the option for another year to 2028, or they can renegotiate. We're in for a new deal, or they can just drop them at the end of 2027. If all of them are possible. But
so then why are you fucking mad about it? That's all that was said. So Dave's going to go, but the idea that they said that they're canceled and everything. Nope, Dave, you're stupid. Nick never said that. The article never said that. And fucking that's the people going, oh, so the conclusion we draw from this is they're cooked. And Dave's just in denial of that conclusion. 1 + 1 is equaling fucking 3 to Dave.
But the idea that this story got play when, like, the most obvious logic of it is that,
the most obvious logic is my AEW's there. So if they can't get a TV deal and Tone pissed off people at Paramount and Ellison, who's fucking in tight with Ari Emanuel, and all these people are sitting front row. They're in bed with TKO. They're all at the UFC. We talked about this time and time again. Who do you think is going to be at the White House card, Dave? Who do you think is going to be at that White House card where they're selling tickets for $1.5 million and it's invite only? Who do you think is going to be there sitting right in the fucking front? Fucking people you're fucking talking about that Tony called bald assholes and fucking hates on. Thinks he's friends with Dana White. Dana White doesn't know who the fuck he is. Dana White knows his fucking dad and goes, oh, that's his kid. That's what it is. Okay. So that's who he pissed off. The logical explanation is, oh, they're going to YouTube and my AEW. They could just click the Watch Dynamite Here button in America. Boom. And you just lied about my AEW.
Why would WBD is not going to even be owning this thing, most likely.
Okay, so that's the other problem too, Dave. You just said before, oh, well, it's a far way from the deal even being done. It's a long ways away. And now you're going, well, most likely WBD won't even own their own shit. So why would they even think to say that if they don't even own their own shit? Well, what if the deal doesn't go down for another 2 years? Have you ever thought of that? Or you just like, why are you just flip-flopping everything you say?
It's not going to even be owning this thing, most likely at this point in time.
If Paramount doesn't buy WBD, then WBD doesn't own the 5 to 25% stake in AEW still? Is that what you're saying? Like Dave Meltzer's the worst ever. He's the worst.
Oh my God, it's the greatest thing I've ever seen.
Literally the biggest dum-dum ever.
So whoever's going to make the decision, it's not going to be made by these people now. It's going to be made by the people who end up with the company. And, I mean,
but how do you know? How do you know that? Why? Why would you think that? How do you know that? It would
bad news.
It would be made by them. Okay, prove that then.
Bad news. We don't know because we don't even know who's going to be in charge. We don't know if Paramount was it not? Yeah, if Paramount.
Oh my God, Dave, say it already.
Skydance. We don't even know if they're going to put it in as sports or entertainment. And those would be under two different umbrellas, two different people in charge. If it's under entertainment, the entertainment guy's going to look at the costs and everything like that. If it's under sports, the sports guy's going to look at the costs.
Oh my God. Dave, holy shit, guys. Yeah, he's lost it. He's completely lost it.
Learn Meltzer Inferno.
I just can't. He can't even like muster up if it's under entertainment or sports. No, these are the dumb fucking games you guys like to play with WBD and all this shit because they're moving money around and shifting money around and shit. It's the fucking Saudis and it's the Ellisons. What are they doing? And Ari Emanuel and what are these guys doing? And TKO and what are these guys? That's what they're looking at, dude. That's sports and entertainment, Dave. That's who they're in business with. That's who they advise. That's who they go to lunches with. I know Tone had a meeting once. They send each other Christmas cards. They go to each other's families' weddings and birthdays and all that shit. It's just a difference. And you just won't refuse to accept that.
We don't know what the, obviously, one of the big red flags of this is that this is supposed to happen in August. Since August, HBO Max started airing AEW pay-per-views. If they were going to drop them, why would they spend money to set up this service?
Because they use AEW to promote people to sign up for HBO Max, and then when they fucking sell this thing, then they can value the viewership and go, look, it's growing. Give us more money when they sell the fucking thing. If it worked out that way. Look, we're doing pay-per-view sales on here too, guys, and are you fucking stupid? Are you slow? Yeah. Oh my God, buddy. Why would they do that? I don't fucking know. To make it look like it's more popular than it fucking is, or to try and help say, look, here's what we're doing in our live sports, and then they can fucking it's just they're trying to sell the shit, dude. What do you mean?
To air them in the first place. That was like the big red flag of how this story ended up.
Why didn't they air the pay-per-views from the very beginning? Because they were just holding out so Tone could get them all some more money if possible, and then it didn't work out. So they just aired it themselves, and then they just get all the money from it, from the little amount of people that are watching AEW. That means nothing. Why would they add them on pay-per-view if they told them that they might get rid of them? I don't know. Why would they tell them they might get rid of it? It's the same thing. It's the same fucking, I don't know, dude. Ask somebody who works there. Maybe because Tone couldn't go get everybody another however much Amazon paid them for whatever. It's stupid. Why is my AEW available and they're putting AEW unrestricted podcasts on there? And I'm in Canada and there's a shopping cart icon and I can add pay-per-views to it and shit right now. If they're not going to roll this out in North America. Dave's just crazy, man. This is wishful thinking, but he'll just ask a question and it's well, why would this be the case? It's I don't know. Why would any of this be the case? Why would AEW still be on the fucking air? Nobody really has answers. It took them forever to cancel Rampage. Why? You know what I mean? I don't fucking know, dude. They're invested in AEW. So things are going to be different the way they work with AEW. Because they actually own a chunk of AEW. So the way they handle shit with AEW, they're going to just approach it a little differently, I would say. No?
Becoming a story. It's just as soon as I saw that, it's did they realize that it was after August when this took place? They're just doing a deal with Adult Swim, deal that AEW is doing with them.
With Adult Swim, buddy. I'm sorry, that's a YouTube show, Dave. Oh, they're not going to YouTube. They teamed up with Adult Swim to do a YouTube show, Dave. So again, you need to study and learn the business, Dave. And then these things, Dave.
Meltzer Inferno.
Because it's Adult Swim, animators from Adult Swim, and they team up with AEW to do a YouTube show that'll probably get uploaded to YouTube and my
Just
AEW.
in, we have confirmed that Dave Meltzer fears PWT and flutes.
Weird, man. Adult Swim. What the fuck are you talking about?
It's if they're being dropped.
Why did Tubi just buy all the Cartoon Network shows that WBD just pitched and don't give a fuck about? They're doing a lot of weird stuff right now. They're doing a lot of weird stuff. If you haven't paid attention to WBD in the last 5 fucking years, from comic books all the way up to the fucking tippy top David Zaslav fucking movies and television shows and all. They're doing a lot of weird shit right now and have been. Study and learn the business.
None of this is happening. And why would the people now even worry about a decision? Because they ain't going to even be owning it when the contract's up. So it was like
you just said they might be owning it when the contract's up. And you just said it probably won't even be on the people in WBD. It'll probably be on whoever owns it. So again, you're goldfish brain, and you're just saying shit as you go along.
Gloom and doom story, and it was one of those things where for, much of the day-to-day and, and everything like that.
On Twitter, I was outside taking a hike, listening to Pod Meets World and fucking living a life with my family. You're mentally ill, Dave. You need to log off, Unc.
The people who wanted to see AEW dead were having a field day because it was like...
Yeah, they're fucking Twitter trolls. Who gives a shit? Who gives a fuck? What a bunch of fucking marks. That's what Nick Khan was saying. And now you're going, oh, you have to dismiss it. I thought we're supposed to listen to the Twitter noise, Dave. I thought we shouldn't dismiss it and what they're saying is right. And there's obviously some people who are wrong, who I deem wrong. So now it's just, oh, it's crazy. This got traction. Meanwhile, you guys make up bullshit about people's fucking names that don't turn out to be true. And Nox Rygen's another guy, and Nakaru or whatever the fuck is is Evil's name. And you know what I mean? Like, Dave, you can't just pick and choose what's good for you and what isn't. And this is coming from a Hollywood agent who you dare not speak of, like Lord fucking Voldemort.
Like, that's it. Where are they going to get TV? Because, like, the big thing is that Paramount will never take them because of UFC. And, again, I don't know but no one...
And shut the fuck up. Because you're not in TV and Nicolo Piccolo is, and he's saying that that's what's happening. So shut up.
Knows. It's like people are saying this.
No one knows. Nicolo Piccolo's no one. He doesn't represent like 20 of the fucking, many of and like 20 fucking major wrestlers, but many of the very top WrestleMania main eventers, 2 WrestleMania main eventers, or 3. I think both nights he had one in the main event, night 1, and then night 2, both guys are his guys in the main event of WrestleMania, the top of the business. That's a nobody. Okay. Like, you can not like Nicolo Piccolo. You can fucking hate on him. You can say he's a short cokehead. You can say, I don't believe the things. You can not like what he says. But nobody, Dave, jeepers, man.
But no one knows. They won't take him because of UFC. And it's like,
nobody said it's because of UFC. It's because of TKO. UFC and WWE are the same company. So when Dave goes, well, UFC is not WWE, but it is, though, dumb bitch. It's called TKO. Where do you think TKO came from?
The one thing is that Paramount will own a piece of AEW when they buy this company. Because
so anywhere from 5 to 25%. And for the people who go, it can't be 25 or it would be public. No, we actually researched on PWT Live Show every Wednesday and Saturday night. We researched that if they categorize it, and if they're only making a certain amount of money from certain investments, there are ways where it could be chalked up to something that doesn't have to be disclosed. You can own up to 25% of something. There's a possibility. Now, I'm not saying it's true. I'm not saying, right? But the rumors are 5, at least. That's what even like Thurston and these guys would say. So 5 to 25%, let's say. What do you think Paramount's going to do with that? Okay, that's going in the junk mail folder. That's going in the we'll sell it back. There's rumors that Tone was offered, that they offered to sell back to Tone their ownership, what they own of it already. That's what that famous Davis guy said from Body Slam. So I don't know if he's right or not either, but address that, Dave. How do you know? Nobody knows. Then shut the fuck up. Why are you so triggered? Why don't you go, oh, that's interesting, man. I mean, he's a Hollywood agent. He might know something we don't, but who really knows, man? I wouldn't take it at face value right now. That's what you say. You don't have a spurg out 10-minute fucking cry sesh about it.
They will own the WD piece of AEW. That they will.
And how much money is that going to bring in? What the fuck is that going to do for them? Owning a piece of AEW. And so Who is that made money for other than the wrestlers that are getting paid too much? They're cutting all the costs of these wrestlers. They're going to keep paying Swerve and Jericho and fucking MJF and Darby what Tone's been paying them and shit. They're going to have a part of that bad business. Dave's fucking cooked. He's coping. He's seething. He's mauling. He's bawling. He's crying. And that's why I will always expose Dave Meltzer every goddamn week or every week, every couple weeks sometimes. That was Dave Meltzer's dumb moment of the week.
For, the young superstar, babyface, the former heel thing. So,
guys, I want to thank you all for being here. If you're listening live, patreon.com/Pro Wrestle Times. I've been Phil S. Marks. This has been 4 hours of Dave Meltzer dumb moment of the week. The last few weeks, though, some shit was the middle of April there. We had a lot of catching up to do, guys. I will see you Saturday for Backlash. Time Cop. Keep your flutes polished.
oh my God, it's the greatest thing I've ever seen. You're overdue. I just felt it's something that makes you look good, and that's cool, and I'm all for it. But I think you need to tone this down because now it's getting intrusive to the show. That they can go in the afternoon for a U.S.
Hold
show,
on a second.
As they did there, and they can do 180,000 buys for an afternoon show, which they've also done for All In. So
okay,
we know they can do. We know they can do big.
Can I continue this before you cut me off? We know one thing.
Yes.
We know it might have done well because it went on first.
I'm not saying it would.
Here's my thing, Dave.
But here's okay. Wait. Okay, here's the thing. Oh my God, it's the greatest thing I've ever seen. I mean, it didn't mean anything to me. It was just a match.
That's the problem, Dave. It should mean something to you.
Give him a quick squash win just to show that, he's not a loser.